LYAM Raleigh, The Buzz.
From Studio One on the campus of the worldwide headquarters of ESPN. And from Studio Q in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Joe and Q on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
The 76ers and Joel Embiid are now consulting with doctors and considering options such as surgery on his left knee.
I think they're trying to do, all the things that they think are necessary to try to get it better. I would agree with you that he's not moving nearly as well as he was.
They are done. This season is over. The city knows it. There's no brotherly love for the Sixers. This season is a joke. Nobody gives a damn about the Sixers because we know they're not healthy. And I love myself.
All right, let's take it easy, Stephen A. Smith. Play a little defense in New York, and then maybe we can turn our attention to Philadelphia and try to figure some things out. He's Gabe Neitzel. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Welcome to the 6th consecutive day of Joe and Q, featuring neither Joe or Q, or at least both in the same room. I'm Joe. I'm here. Q's at the Combine in Indianapolis. He's going to join us in about 14 minutes for all the latest. Gabe Neitzel. Talk of the town is this beard of yours.
Everybody seems to be really enjoying the beard. I haven't been with you for a couple of weeks, and I show up.
Yeah,
I've got
that's it. It's a
big,
few
long
weeks.
beard.
What's changed?
I didn't think that much had changed, but that's all anybody has really said. Whether it was the meeting we had before the show, other people, go, oh man, look at that beard. What's going on? Like this is my normal beard, guys.
It's like, have you seen Gabe? It's like, I don't know, not for a couple weeks. Why? What happened? Look at the beard. What could happen between his beard 2 weeks ago and now, other than him shaving it?
I mean, he looks like Tom Hanks from Castaway.
It is rather unkempt, but, it's 2025.
Plus, the whole Yankees thing this week, the facial hair is very top of mind. So I think we're debating if it's a well-groomed beard. It's clearly not.
It is not.
So I think that's why it's even more of a
No.
topic of conversation than usual.
No, you have any suggestions on should I keep it more well-groomed? I'm not a pretty guy like Joe. I'm not on television.
You said your wife likes the beard.
She does. I came home, the last time I got it trimmed, I came home and she looked at me and she went, do you like what they did with your beard? Which is just obviously universal for she doesn't like what happened with my beard. So, again, I don't care. I'm not on TV. I don't have any rules. I can do whatever I want.
No wife has ever watched their husband walk in the door, seen a major change, and thought, oh, my God, he looks so good. I'm going to phrase it in a way in which it makes us all uncomfortable. Hey, are you really okay with that $25,000 beautiful Rolex on your wrist? Like, no. She'd be like, oh, my God, it's an incredible Rolex. You look fantastic. You look like $1 million. Speaking of which, Cam, you shaved everything.
Yeah, I lost about 5 pounds getting a haircut and shaving my beard. And as I've mentioned to several people, my iPhone Face ID no longer recognizes me. So I'm batting like 50%, 500 right now for if I get into the phone on the face because of the
hair?
I look so different. Yeah.
I would have liked to have believed Apple's technology relied more on the
That's why
eyes.
It's 50%. It's not 0%, but I'm having some issues getting into the phone just through the face.
Perfect opportunity for a transition. Speaking of issues, have you seen what's happening in Philadelphia? First of all, I'm going to be very clear. We work as a team here. We all work together. I did not vote to open with this topic. I want to be very clear. This team's been dead to me for a while, but apparently society deems that this is still a worthy topic because last night, if you didn't think they could slink, I was going to go with slink, stoop any lower. What's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, maybe just sink.
Sink any lower. Yeah, just the basic word sink is what I'm looking
You've been gone for a while.
I don't even drink anymore, so I can't blame it on that. I don't know what could, we know. All right, there's other things to blame it on. That's neither here nor there. What was the differential last night? They lost by 32 to the Bulls.
32, yes.
And if you're not paying attention, the Bulls suck. All right, that's now 8 straight losses for Philadelphia. They're 20-36. Gabe, I want your thoughts on something in just a moment. I want to go to Nick Nurse first, the Sixers head coach. Nick, please give us some insight here on the latest with Joel Embiid and how you plan on saving this thing.
We're just going to keep trying to fight. I got to get them back on track. Got to get them together and keep playing. I don't really have time to analyze what outsiders are saying. We got to look at ourselves in the mirror and get to work and, like I said, be more professional and go out there and give some effort and energy and play hard.
Given the record and a game like tonight, why not just shut down Joe for the rest of the year?
Just not there yet. Just not there yet as an organization.
What's it going to take? Just out of curiosity, what is it going to take to shut down a terrible player right now who you're 16 under 500? Also, I want to address this real quick. The idea of him saying, I don't have time to think about that right now. What do you have time for? Because it's not improving anything that's happening out there. And I know it's not necessarily Nurse's fault, but what do we do? Like, what? The idea of keeping Embiid out there, just fill in the blank. Why? Why is this still happening?
Yeah, that I do not have an answer for. And to answer you,
you don't have time for that either. You're too busy.
I don't have time. I don't have time for that
you
either.
A nurse?
To answer your initial question of what would have to happen, would a 32-point loss to like the Wizards, would that do it? Would that? Okay, all right. I guess we don't really have any chance here right now. They're closer to the Raptors than they are the Bulls now for the 10th seed, and the Raptors
Bulls are
the team
3
behind
up
them.
on Philadelphia. How are you 3 down to the Bulls?
Yeah, the Bulls were sellers at the deadline, Joe. Like, they decided, oh, Zach LaVine, yeah, we don't really need you. We're trying to rebuild, and somehow the Bulls are stumbling their way into the playoff in the East, and the 76ers losing by 32 points to that team. I think Nurse is hitting on some bigger issues there and having just some professional pride when you're going out there. But clearly this team, at least right now, is waving the white flag. Like, there's no excuse for a team that had Tyrese Maxey playing last night, and Paul George hasn't been what you thought he was, but he's still a pretty good basketball player. You have both of those guys available and healthy, and you still lose by 32 at home to a team that was a seller at the deadline.
Josh Giddey had 16 rebounds last night. Rebounding is based on 2 things. That's it. There's 2 things that rebounding is based on. Number 1, your height, and number 2, your effort. That's it. Giddey isn't 6'10".
Nope.
And he's known more of the guy in OKC who they just left wide open in the playoffs last year. He missed every shot, and then they had to sit him down, and then they eventually traded him. I mean, here's where we're at. Philadelphia has a draft pick this year. It is top 6 protected. That means they only keep it if they fall into the top 6 after the lottery shakes down. If not, that pick goes, surprise, surprise, to Oklahoma City, who owns the rights to about 83% of all draft picks between now and the year 2042. So the Sixers can only have this draft pick if it's a top 6 pick. A top 6 pick is something that could presumably help you. It's not going to help you this year, but you seem too far gone this year. So why are we not shutting down Embiid, doing whatever with Paul George? I don't care if you officially shut him down, don't play him, tell him not to show up, it doesn't matter. But why aren't you just focusing on making sure you secure this top 6 pick? Is it like, what is happening in Philadelphia that they don't get this?
Well, maybe the Galaxy brain thing is maybe they're scared if they shut down Paul George, they'll put in somebody who puts forth effort, and then they might accidentally win a couple of games. Because, I mean, if this crew can lose by 32 to the Bulls, and you're looking to lose games to try to get as many ping pong balls as you can to ensure a top 6 pick, heck, maybe even get that number 1 overall pick and go get yourself a Cooper Flag. Maybe, you sit down the guys who aren't giving effort, then you put in guys who are giving effort, you might accidentally win a couple of games.
That's an incredible thought. An incredible thought. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Say, hey, why are you still playing Embiid if you're trying to tank? It's like, did you see us last night against the Bulls? We played them. We lost by 32. The plan is working. This is the new trust the process. We're playing all the stars, and we're going to lose every night. That's the process. Go ahead and trust it. I think there's a thought right now that Philadelphia is just so mired in muck with how many years are left and money on Embiid's deal. And this is the one thing I want to address today. Everyone's talking about, I know the morning show did this yesterday, is the worst contract in sports, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, wrong. Deshaun Watson's still the worst contract in sports. This is not the worst contract in sports. It's going to easily be solvable for Philadelphia. And I do use the word easily because we're just going to prey on the psychology of idiots, okay? Right now, we have reached rock bottom with Joel Embiid. This is as bad as it gets. It's been an awful season. Contract looks terrible. Guy can't play. Shut him down. Have him get his surgery. Let some time go by. No one will talk about him. Then in the summer, post a video of him with his shirt off, looking good, putting up some jumpers. Edit the video, of course, to make the jumpers go in. And then he's looking good like Ben Simmons does every summer. And people are like, whoa, Embiid's looking pretty good. I think I'm buying the Sixers this year. And then when the Sixers season starts, limit his minutes, put him in these games against Charlotte, Washington, roll up some numbers. And then eventually there's 29 other NBA teams. A couple of them will think to themselves, all right, that Embiid contract is a disaster, but I'm desperate. I'm up against it. I need to win. He might put us over the top. Why don't we go make a move? Let's get Utah involved because they're involved in every trade. Let's get Portland involved, and they'll send some picks and some players, and they'll be the 3rd and 4th teams. And then voila, we'll move them off the books. I think it's the recency bias thing that's killing this. If you go back to the playoffs last year, Gabe, against New York, everyone loved Embiid. He was hobbled. He's out there giving it his all every single night. What a courageous, gutsy performance. Now we've all turned on him. You can swing the public perception back, and you can grab 1 or 2 teams in the process, and then boom, just like that, you can move the guy. I'm not saying you're going to do well in the deal, but you can get rid of him.
And a year ago, everybody was talking about him winning his 2nd straight MVP because that's how well he was playing before he had the injury that had to shut him down rest of the regular season. So I agree. I think it's going to be easy to rehab Joel Embiid as long as he can go out and show, at least for a little bit, he can be healthy. Because again, remember, this is the same league. There is somebody in this league who decided it was a good idea to give Bradley Beal a no-trade clause.
Right.
Like, there's plenty of people out there that would be able to convince themselves that Joel Embiid is worth the risk and he's going to put you over the top.
Have we seen some of the moves that have been taking place? The Mavericks gave up Luka for probably 22% of what they could have gotten if they had brought it out to the open market. The Suns, every single move the Suns have made over the last few years, outside of acquiring Durant, I mean, he's awesome, but, like, it's not working around him. Their moves have been terrible.
Rudy Gobert went for 4 first-rounders.
Speaking of which, oh, my God, I forget. It's like, that's the windy finger point, right? Oh, my God. I remember I was driving home from Idaho. I'm in the car. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Freddie Coleman's hosting First Take. Windy's got double guns in the air. What is this? On top of that, I mean, like, speaking of which, Gobert's in Minnesota. How about trading Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle? That deal looks like a disaster. Like, there are desperate people everywhere in sports trying to save their jobs. Daryl Morey's one of those guys in Philly. He made a desperate play to give Embiid the contract. You shouldn't have done it. Some people, give him the contract. No, everyone knew by the time this thing kicked in, he was going to be anywhere close to past his prime. And then once you gave him that, you needed to maximize your opportunity. So you went out and you brought in Paul George. Everyone knew that was going to be a bad deal. And now you stand the risk of ruining the best years of Tyrese Maxey because you're going to be in salary purgatory hell. Like, that's where we're at. So, I don't know. End sentence, I'm not really sure how to button this up. I'm used to being in the other chair, and I just let someone else handle this.
It is incredible to think that Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid is the process. If he ends up getting traded next year or this offseason, the best the process could do was Eastern Conference semis. And clearly, by the way, the weaker conference, like the West, I mean, the West is just absolutely stacked. The West, for the last handful of years, has just had great team, all the way down. And the East has had a couple of, decent teams. And the best that the process could do is conference semifinals in the East.
Yeah, in the East. It's an amazing thing. How loyal will the Sixers be to Embiid over the next 4 years? It's a great question. Loyalty Index is brought to you by Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN. Get great deals on the hottest tickets. Experience it live. We slid that one right past you. You thought it was content, and it was an advertisement. That is how pros do it. We learned it from Greenberg. He's the best. Coming up, last year it was all in. This year, it's selectively aggressive. What will next year's T-shirt bring? Joe and Q, ESPN Radio, ESPN app.
Honoring Black History Month on ESPN Radio.
Loretta Claiborne really has gone the distance for the Special Olympics. Claiborne was born in 1953, partially blind, with both an intellectual disability and clubbed feet, at a time when having a disability was a reason enough to be placed in an institution. Instead, Claiborne's mother raised her at home with her 6 siblings. At the suggestion of a school counselor, Claiborne ran her first race in the Special Olympics in 1970 and went on to win 6 gold medals at 6 different Special Olympics World Games over the years. She also participated in over 24 marathons. When Claiborne ran the Boston Marathon in 1982, she earned her best time to date. She finished in 3 hours and 3 minutes, placing her in the top 100 women finishers that day.
Honoring Black History Month on ESPN Radio.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LEARN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LEARN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LEARN.
Listen for the...
Oh, my goodness!
Check in for the...
Beautiful back cut and a two-hand jam.
Don't miss the...
Race to the other end. Get ready for the show!
What was that?
A reverse pull-up! My goodness! Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot!
You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home!
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
In Iraq, our truck hit a roadside bomb. I had about 16 surgeries on my hand so that I could regain function. And when I came home, I needed a new roof due to a storm. And my electrical was deemed unsafe. And I was about to lose homeowners insurance as well. I didn't really know where to go in order to get help. And so I applied for Operation Homefront Critical Financial Assistance Program. They've really been a blessing. Operation Homefront is the safety net. A lot of veterans, they fall through the cracks sometimes, and Operation Homefront, they catch us. It's been a blessing to us. It's a blessing to other veteran families, and it's good to know that when we come home, there are people who are there that care about us and want to see us do well and want to see us succeed, and we feel it, and we appreciate that. I would say you guys are angels behind closed doors.
Visit OperationHomefront.org to learn more.
Right arm, right leg.
Left leg, left arm.
Both legs above the knee.
Both legs, part of my left hand.
Lost both my legs in Iraq.
These 9/11 veterans are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and pull-down cabinets that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans, thanks to our donors and supporters. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
/golf.
I just can't get enough.
This is Joe and Q.
Let's go back to Zeke, who we just let go. We're going to bring him back because, we understood what we did wrong as a couple. Now we're going to be better this year.
Yeah, far more people out there that get divorced and get married again than I realized. Right. Why not just get back together and, just date? Why go through the formality of the marriage again?
Look for your next, Joe, not your ex.
This is Joe and Q.
Maybe not the most sage advice. Just, as you consider things as you're driving around today, I don't know if marriage advice is what this show should be handing out. I'm just throwing that out there. Gabe Neitzel and Joe Fortenbaugh. We are ESPN Radio's Joe and Q. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. It's great to have you with us today. Let's go to Indianapolis. Not physically. We're just going to go there via the phones where we find our boy Q Myers on the scene. Q, how are you? How long have you been in Indianapolis? Is it cold? Give us the lay of the land.
Yeah, man. I've been here since Sunday night. Landed in town, and it's funny coming from Las Vegas. I get in the car, and I'm riding over to the Airbnb, and I look over to the right and left of me, and I see some white substance, some powdery substance on the side of the road. called snow.
Oh.
And
okay,
yeah,
Tony Montana.
Hey, you like that little dramatic pause there, right? So, yeah, there was snow. So I was not quite prepared for that. I knew it got cold in Indy, did not realize that there was going to be snow. But apparently Apparently, I avoided what it was last week, where it was in the single digits. So it's
Arctic
actually
blast,
really,
man.
Yeah, it's really warm here this week opposed to last week. So I'm good. I'm good to go.
All right, so you're hanging out at the Combine. What's the name you've heard the most so far since you arrived on Sunday?
The guy who is not a draft prospect, Matt Stafford. That is the name that I've heard the most, is Matt Stafford. And the reason I have is because of the draft prospects, the guys that are in the quarterback class that aren't overwhelmingly the guy. You know, like you have to have this guy. So now this makes this whole Matt Stafford, as the Rams have allowed his agent to look for a trade, it makes his name that much more intriguing, because every team that needs a quarterback, like the Browns, like the Raiders, like the Giants, like the Steelers, have to at least entertain the thought and see what it would take and if it's worth the weight in gold to be able to go and try to acquire him to be their starting quarterback, as opposed to a Cam Ward, a Shedeur Sanders, or other after those two top guys. So his name is hot and heavy in Indy, and what's more, it's going to be talked about after hours, more importantly, when all the business takes place here in Indy.
Q Myers joining us from Indianapolis, Joe Fortenbaugh, Gabe Neitzel, Joe and Q. Don't try to make sense of who's hosting, who's not, any of this stuff. It's very confusing. You know the key voices you're listening to right now. We'll take it from there. I'm going to follow up on the Stafford thing. Can anyone explain why? Does LA have some great plan for what happens if he leaves? They gave Philadelphia the toughest run of anybody last year. They've got to feel like they're close. Moving on from Stafford doesn't get him closer. Conversely, if you're Stafford, you got the wife and like 3 or 4 daughters in LA.
Right.
Are you thinking about uprooting your family for what's maybe 1 or 2 more years of football? Like, what are we doing here? This all just feels performative. It feels like, go out and check it out, see what happens. Come on back, we'll get something done.
That's exactly what it feels like to me. That's exactly what I believe it is, to be honest. But with the situation being what the draft is with these QBs, and not to mention the free agent class, I mean, are you going to invest big money in Sam Darnold, a guy who's done it 1 year, or are you going to go with a guy in, Matt Stafford, and you feel like, okay, I feel more confident in him, or are you going to roll with a guy like Russell Wilson, Justin Fields? Like, the options aren't out there. So when the options aren't there, it makes this one of those situations that you have to entertain. But it's like what you would say, Joe. I feel like it's for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. I mean, we need a story, right? Like, we need some story to kick off this week. No one felt like getting arrested, so I guess we'll go with Stafford.
No, I'm good. I'm good, brother. I need to come back to the show, right? I don't need that on my resume,
some more of that white substance.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one that came in talking about it.
I mean, I talked about the white powder on the side of the road. That was snow, not
the fact
anything
that
else.
you were caught off guard that there was snow in Indianapolis is shocking to me.
Yeah,
did you think?
where did you think it was on a map?
Where'd you think you were going?
No, it's not something that
Aren't you at the Combine every year?
Yes, but it's not something I have to deal with. And last year, here at the Combine, the first half of the week was beautiful weather. It was great. I thought I was still in Vegas, and then it's
not like you've never seen snow before, right? I mean, you've experienced snow, right?
Yes, but I mean, when you're driving and you're just all of a sudden you look over and you happen to see it next to you, just realize like, oh yeah, there's snow there. So when I pull up to my Airbnb and there's, the snow on the front
with the
yard,
Airbnbs. You can't just stay in a hotel?
No, because I do shows all night. And so would you appreciate if you're at
the
this
screaming, yelling. Yeah,
yes,
no, that's nice.
Exactly. If you're at this nice hotel, then all of a sudden you hear some dude yelling about, it's Joe and Q on ESPN Radio or whatever. Like, you're not going to be appreciative of that. So I do the Airbnb and I'm to myself.
Very nice.
When's the last time you saw snow before? Yeah, wherever you are.
It's a great question.
I mean, it's not like it's some brand new thing to me, but it's just not.
That's what it sounds like.
It doesn't happen.
It really
does. So floored.
It's like
if they send me to spring training in Arizona, it's like, oh my God, it's so sunny. Did anyone know it was so sunny down here? How can you play baseball in all this sun?
What's all this grass? All this green stuff.
This is the hard-hitting stuff you get on Joe and Q on ESPN Radio. I got the Buffalo Bills sitting behind me, and they're probably like, this dude's talking about snow? What is wrong with this city, dude? Like, this guy needs to go back to the West Coast.
You're doing a real service for Radio Row out there. Q Myers joining, I guess, his own show from Indianapolis. Gabe Neitzel in for Q Myers, who's on the show right now. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh, driving the show normally in Gabe's seat. Again, don't try to make sense of it, but we are presented by Progressive Insurance. General managers, head coaches, draft strategies. What's all the talk out there? A lot of guys are going to get their height and weight. Great, fantastic, voila. But what are we talking about? Like, Mel's got his new mock draft out. We're going to be talking about that soon. What's the buzz around the prospects?
Well, it's really about the fact that, the running back class is really deep, like Mel had Ashton Genty going number 6 to the Raiders, and we all know that that's really high for a running back, but he's a special running back, so that's a part of the conversation. If he's that special, is it okay to take him that high? And so far, the conversation that I've had with people off to the side and on the record is like, no, that's fine, because he's that talented to take him as high as number 6. I feel like that, if you're a team that has a lot of holes like the Raiders, that might be too rich at that spot, especially in a very deep draft, for running backs. So you don't do that. But the other conversation that's big here right now is about working out as opposed to not working out. That's something that we found out Shedeur is not going to throw. And, they basically are saying if you weigh your options and if there's more to lose than there is to gain, then you shouldn't do it. And I really didn't know what a guy like Shedeur had to lose, as we already know he's one of the top 2 quarterbacks. But it was said to me that, well, what if he throws before a guy with a super strong arm, and then the guy with the super strong arm throws after him and shows off that super strong arm? Is that a knock later on? Like, well, maybe he doesn't have the arm strength that we all thought he did. Or, like that kind of perception could be something that they're trying to guard against instead of just doing it here and competing at the combine, instead just having that controlled environment of pro day.
If you're not going snowboarding, can you hang for another segment?
Of course.
You want to do another segment?
I got you.
All right, we had some Cowboys questions for you. I want you to think about this. I'm going to give the audience a chance to think about this as well. Last year, the slogan was all in. This year's slogan is selectively aggressive. What is next year's slogan going to be? Q Myers is going to think about it. He's in Indianapolis. Gabe Neitzel is joining me from Wisconsin. He's also going to think about it. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. I'm here in Connecticut. I'm also going to think about it. Now you have a sense of what we're doing, and now that you have that, we're going to leave, and we'll be back in a little bit here on ESPN Radio.
This week is NFL Combine Week on ESPN Radio. All the news.
He's got as much riding on a 40 time as any player in this draft.
Plus whose stock is rising and who's dropping.
The NFL Scouting Combine. We are going to bring you up to speed on everything you need to know.
Continuing coverage right here on ESPN Radio.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of the Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids right here in our own backyard are facing hunger every day? Without healthy food, it's harder to grow, to thrive, to feel their best.
The impact when children don't have enough to eat is tremendous because when you're hungry and your basic needs aren't being met, you cannot learn.
Every child deserves to be fed. This is a problem we know how to solve. Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Breakfast in the classroom contributes to kids being more focused, which leads to higher grades, and simply just their well-being.
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
When it comes to prostate cancer, go to pcf.org for the help you need to navigate this disease and make the right decisions for yourself. Go to pcf.org today.
This hour of Buzz Sports Radio is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
Apply. See Verizon.com for details.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Luka Doncic's revenge tour officially tips off tonight when he and the Lakers host the team that traded him for conditioning concerns a couple of weeks ago, the Mavericks. It'll be his 5th game on the floor with LA since that jaw-dropping trade from Dallas. Doncic is coming off a stellar performance Saturday night in a win over the Nuggets, 32 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, 4 steals. The other headline player in that mega trade, Anthony Davis, still out for the Mavs due to a groin injury. NFL Commanders have granted defensive tackle Jonathan Allen permission to seek a trade. His cap hit this year, $22 million. Washington would save $16 million in cap space trading or releasing him before June 1st. The Packers, the team that submitted a rule proposal to ban the tush-push quarterback sneak, and North Carolina's hiring longtime NBA agent Jim Tanner as the GM for its men's basketball team.
Pizza money alert.
Pizza, pizza.
All right, we'll have more on this later in the show, but here's the thing. Luka Doncic and his Lakers are taking on his old team, the Mavericks, tonight. Now, the sports books are well aware of what the narrative is going to be going into this game. If you watch Get Up, First Take, and everybody else, you know the narrative. Oh, my God, Luka, revenge, Luka sticking it to his former team. So with that information, what does the sports book do? Well, they understand that this is how most people think and that people are going to bet overs. So they take a price on Luka's points, for example, which should be maybe 25.5 or 26.5, and they move it to 31.5. They move his rebounds up. They move his assists up. Now, maybe he has a big night shooting. I don't think he's going to have a big night facilitating. So the pizza money bet here is going to be under 8.5 assists. That's a big number for a guy who's not really averaging 8.5 assists per game on the season. And in the 4 games he's joined the Lakers, hasn't hit that number one time. So tonight, there might be some great opportunities, but overall, I just don't see it happening. The prices are inflated. The unders offer value. The question is whether or not you want to roll the dice. Pizza money number 1, Luka Doncic under 8.5 assists.
This is Joe and Q.
We're not really talking about Baltimore right now. We're not talking about Buffalo right now. We're not talking about the Chargers. Serious teams are acting seriously right now. The clown cars are out in full effect for entertainment purposes only. We need a bunch of goofy headlines so we have things to talk about. Enter the Dallas Cowboys, kings of the offseason.
This is Joe and Q.
All right, perfect. That brings us right into the conversation. Gabe Neitzel is here today. My name is Joe Fortenbaugh. The show's called Joe and Q. Q Myers is in Indianapolis. He's joining us for this segment. He's live from the Combine. It's a continuation from a conversation earlier. He was with us. If you missed that, download the podcast wherever you get your podcast. All right, Q, let's jump right to business here. Last year, the Cowboys had their Don Draper moment, catchphrase, all in. That's all we heard all season. Nothing happened. This year, it's selectively aggressive. The Cowboys plan on being selectively aggressive. I want to know what we think next year is going to be, but first, what the hell does selectively aggressive even mean? All in meant very little, so what does selectively aggressive mean?
Even less. That's what that means. Even less is going to be what they're going to be very busy doing. A whole lot of nothing. They're going to be selective this time. Instead of going all the way in and instead of going after who they need to go after to make sure that they fill the team to be able to go out there and win a championship, they're going to be selective with who they go after. So, yeah, I expect very little from this team that is, well, for entertainment purposes only, at least, I guess, getting out here a day ahead of time at the Scouting Combine and being able to talk to some of the media actually created a little bit of, well, more conversation because they are for entertainment only.
All right, Gabe, so jump in before I go back to Q. If you had a catchphrase for what they're going to come up with next season, this year's going to be selectively aggressive. What's the T-shirt look like next season?
I think it's all out. And the Cowboys come up with that thinking that they're like, oh, hey, we're going all out to try to win games, but the rest of us will see it, oh, they're all out. They're all out of good ideas. And then we can just dunk on them throughout the course of the season.
Interesting. I like that. Q, what have you come up with?
Well, I think that they're going to try to sell a bill of goods. So their T-shirt's going to say championship expectations. Well, because they expect to win championships, right? I mean, every team should have expectations to win championships. Some are realistic, some are not. Theirs will not be realistic. But I think that they're going to try to sell that, just like they did the All In. They're going to say, you know what? This season we've got championship expectations. And then, well, what happened at the end of the season? We didn't meet our expectations.
See, my thoughts here are very simple. This is two good catchphrases in a row. I think they're going to be out. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to rip somebody off next year, and they're going to bring back delightfully tacky yet unrefined. They're going to take Hooters.
Yeah, that's available. I mean, Hooters is going out of business.
I'm about to say they're out of business
might
now,
as,
right?
Might as well take it.
Hooters Dallas should buy that on the cheap like they got Ezekiel Elliott last year. Go to Hooters, be like, we want delightfully tacky yet unrefined. Hooters is going to be like, I didn't even know we still had that. Sure, $4. Jerry will come in for $3. He'll get it, and boom, you have next year. Problem solved.
There's one right down the street from AT&T Stadium. So, I mean, at least the location was there. So, hey, I got a quick question for you, Joe. Liam Cohen's walking by. Should I hit him with the Duval?
No. Do it, but in representation of your own radio show in Las Vegas, not this radio show. I don't want to immediately make enemies with people.
No, I was just gonna hit him with it. It was like one of those like, hey, how you doing, Duval, and see what he said. But he's gone now. Missed an opportunity, Doc.
This Cowboys team, they also were talking about the idea of drafting a quarterback. They said that now that doesn't mean they're going to use their first-round pick on it, but the idea of Prescott and bringing in another quarterback at some point through the draft, like, what are we supposed to make of that? Are they trying to send up some fake smokescreen here, or are they actually giving us some insight into their plans?
No, this is a whole lot of nothing. It's a big nothing burger. Like, okay, they're going to have another quarterback to back up Dak Prescott because, well, Trey Lance wasn't worth the salt, right? They picked him up for a cup of coffee and maybe it's a Hooters tagline, and that was just about it. And that obviously didn't work out very well. So, yeah, they're probably going to address that quarterback position in, the 4th round, 5th round, whatever the case may be. Maybe a Milroe if he's still available, maybe a Dylan Gabriel, someone like that. But it's a whole lot of a nothing burger. And, oh, by the way, the Jags GM just walked by me who looks like he's an accountant. He's a super young dude. He just walked by me as well. I mean, this dude is incredibly young looking.
How do you look like an accountant in 2025? Was he walking by with like that green like the see-through green visor? Like, how do you look like an accountant?
He just looks like he should be crunching some numbers somewhere, and I guess as a GM he's going to be, but he looks so super young. Like, I mean, dog, we say black, well, I say black don't crack. Nothing about him.
So does Joe. No,
he doesn't
I
have
do
to,
not. I do not say that.
He doesn't have to worry about anything cracking for a long time, man. This dude looks like he's about 20.
He's 34, I believe. Yeah.
Theo Epstein was young when he brought back the Red Sox and delivered a World Series. Is this guy? I don't even know his name. Is this new young general manager in Jacksonville the new Theo Epstein? Discuss.
He very well could be. It's Goldman, right? That's his name.
Gladstone. What are we doing here?
My bad.
Are you guys sports radio hosts or not?
My fault.
What's up,
Hey, look,
Goldman? What are you, an accountant or
He's the
something?
one that's been all over.
The last 3 weeks, you've been whining about the
hired
Jags.
him. They just barely hired him.
If we don't know his name, my theory is no, he's not the next Theo Epstein. Because I think everyone knew. I mean, it was easy because you just go, oh, it's Theo, right? Like he was a one-name guy eventually. But if we don't know his name, I don't know if we can say he's going to be the next big thing.
Did anyone know Theo?
No, he's a brand new
guy. When he was hired, did anyone know? Was everyone like, oh, Theo's about to reverse the curse here? He's about to end it.
There's no way anyone could have thought that back then. They were such losers for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
They may have thought, all right, this young whiz kid's going to get us back on track. But the way things were in Boston back then,
I can't really remember. But
nobody was thinking World Series. Everyone had given up on that dream. Right? Like, there's no way that city was thinking, all right, now we're going to win a World Series. Like, the curse of the Bambino, it's like 100 years old almost by that point.
It's all we needed. That's all we needed was Epstein. No, they didn't know that. So, I mean, look, this guy might end up being the end-all, be-all. He was the last guy hired, right? So we'll see. We'll see if he's the first one fired or if he's the one to be successful. We'll find out.
So, Q, I want to go back to the Cowboys and the talk of them, okay, spending a 4th or 5th round pick on a quarterback. I understand that in theory, like, oh, you want to have young quarterbacks, you're developing, they can be the backup. But can they really afford to do that? Don't they need to be spending all of their picks on guys that could potentially be starters based on some of the salary cap hamstringing they've done to themselves with the current players on the roster?
I mean, yeah, you want to, of course, address every need that you have. But, I mean, I think that a real quality backup quarterback is someone that is needed in the league. I mean, look how many starting quarterbacks have started over the past couple seasons, right? It's in the 60s. So I think that you do need to have someone that you could rely on. Obviously, it's not priority number one. But I think it's always healthy to have an extra QB or two on the roster, right? Someone that could potentially take some snaps if need be, someone that you could develop, someone that you could flip if in case something like this happens where it's one of these draft class that the quarterback is not the sexy pick and the free agents are not the sexy guys. Maybe there's a guy that you could flip and get some really good return on, and, hey, that's just a guy that you picked up for a 4th or 5th round pick. I don't have a problem with the later round pick to go and address your backup QB.
Q Myers, ladies and gentlemen, live from Indianapolis, doing the Lord's work of appearing on his own show. Q, tremendous as always. Thank you so much. I'll give you the standard, enjoyed the shrimp cocktail at St. Elmo's, ha, 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 that everyone says every year when it comes to people who are at the Combine.
Nah, that thing will burn a hole in the back of my head, that horseradish is so hot. So
Black don't crack, though.
I know it ain't going to crack, but it might blow the hole in the back of my head.
Didn't you just say that you don't say that, Joe?
I know, I always say it. Isn't that what you said?
That's what I say, and you
that's true.
said that's not true.
Who's on first?
Yeah, there you go. All right, Q, thank you. Good luck with all the work, and keep it up. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. Be back tomorrow.
All right, good stuff. Nothing like going to the Combine 2 days before even the punters and kickers get going to really get the feel of a room filled with reporters and no athletes whatsoever talking about what's happening in the NFL. He's Gabe Neitzel. I'm Joe Fornball. Anthony Edwards, he doesn't want to be the face of the NBA, but he just keep making plays like he is the face of the NBA. That's after Gabe tells us about Vivid Seats.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Welcome. The 2025 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
The NFL Draft
is now underway.
Live from historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
With the first pick,
It all begins with round one.
the Tennessee Titans select
Thursday, April 24th on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime, forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. Split into 6 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches, only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a 3. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damask from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Outta Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
I'm Tiffany. I have some tips for you on how to quit smoking like I did. First, I did some reading about it. I found a lot of great advice on how to quit smoking and picked out the ways I thought would work best for me. I started by setting a quit date. Then I threw out my ashtrays, lighters, and matches. I did other things too, like exercising more, and it worked. But I'd still get cravings, especially on long car rides. To help me with that, I put a picture of my mother in my car. She died of lung cancer from smoking cigarettes when I was only 16. Now I have a 16-year-old daughter. That picture of my mother reminds me that I don't want to miss all the things my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
My dad, he's a double amputee, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. To me, a hero is someone who fights for our country and freedom. My dad is a hero. Homes for Our Troops built this house, and it's basically made for him. My dad can get through the wide doorways. When he is making our lunch, he can reach anything we need. He'll help me build tiny projects. Life is good here. Without Homes for Our Troops, we'd be living in a home that didn't have all these features that helped him.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives.
If they get a new house like this one, it'll help them do normal life. My dad's not just a hero, he's my hero.
Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
My muscles ached. I was tired all the time.
My son had a full-blown asthma attack. It came out of nowhere.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is
I had a fever and these terrible headaches.
you don't always know what's causing them.
It was Lyme disease from a tick bite.
I had West Nile virus from a mosquito.
He had a reaction to cockroach allergens.
Threats to your health can come from unexpected places. Get the facts. Visit pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Eastern on ABC.
Huge night on the hardwood.
Up the floor, James hammers a right-hand dunk.
Let's get caught up with NBA A to Z.
We got Great one in the association tonight between the Lakers and the Mavs as Luka gets his first shot at his old team. But last night featured a ton of great action, beginning with a fantastic, hopefully playoff preview between the Timberwolves and the Thunder.
SGA now with it against Nikhil. They run Nas at him in a double. SGA runs away from that, attacks down the lane, rises up. His shot blocked by Anthony Edwards. It's loose in the corner. TJ Shannon's got it, and a whistle, and a timeout is called by Minnesota. Anthony Edwards just saved the day.
Highlight courtesy of K-Fan. An unbelievable block against the presumed league MVP. And honestly, it just makes me a little bit sad that the T-Wolves aren't better, because I enjoyed so much of the Anthony Edwards ride into postseason a year ago, and we're just not going to get that this year. The Timberwolves aren't good enough. Yes, they were good enough to get the win over the Thunder last night, 131-128, but they just can't do that on a consistent basis because Anthony Edwards doesn't have that same running mate that he had last year in Karl Anthony Towns.
Outside of Minnesota, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but the Timberwolves' schedule as of late has been insane. A 7-game stretch at Cleveland, hosting Milwaukee, hosting Oklahoma City, at Houston, hosting Oklahoma City, at Oklahoma City, and then they've got the Lakers next before it starts to ease up. That's insane. Getting Oklahoma City 3 times in 4 games. Now, granted, the first of those was on the front end of the All-Star break, so there was some time off. But after this is the keynote, it's going to become one of the easiest schedules in the NBA. Do not be surprised if Minnesota goes on a run over the final 20-plus games of the regular season. Shootout in Indianapolis last night.
Jokic has it across the timeline against Turner. Need about 2 more buckets to win the game. In the corner, it's Porter. Back over to Jokic inside the arc. Hands it off to Porter. Porter goes to the left hand, gets down the lane, dunked it home, 2 hands. Blew right past 2 different Indiana defenders. Denver leads it by 10.
Altitude Radio Network with the call. Look, I don't want to take anything away from Nikola Jokic. He's fantastic. He doesn't need the help. You just heard the highlight, Joe. I don't know if you saw the highlight. It is it's a handoff. It's a basic basketball handoff where Michael Porter Jr. then dribbles 3 times, takes 2 steps, and gets to the bucket. And what planet is that an assist? But how is that the 19th assist for Nikola Jokic last night? I don't understand what credits, and now I feel like the old man, well, back in my day with John Stockton, you got 1 dribble, and that's all you got. If this was just a basic handoff, and then Porter makes a one-on-one move, and because we're close to, some cool mark for Jokic, we decide to give him a 19th assist? In no world is this an assist. It's just not.
Here's the definition of assist according to our new artificial intelligence overlords. In the NBA, an assist is a pass that leads directly to a made field goal. The player who makes the pass is credited with an assist. How an assist is determined. Number 1, the pass must be the last pass that leads directly to the basket. Number 2, the player who receives the pass must show an immediate reaction to the basket. I think this is what you're hammering on.
Yeah.
Number 3, inbound passes can count as assists. Number 4, screen assists are counted when a screen leads to a made field goal. Feels like there's a lot of room for subjectivity. Like a home run's a home run. It clears the fence or it doesn't. Unless some idiot in New York leans over the fence and starts a fight. But that's just them. Outside of that, we know what a home run is. We know what a stolen base is. I know what a touchdown pass is. But an assist in the NBA, subject to interpretation.
I mean, he didn't make a move immediately towards the basket. He kind of hesitates right at the free throw line and then blows past his defender. It's a great move by Michael Porter Jr. And look, Jokic is a tremendous passer. Again, he doesn't need the help on just the magic assist they decided to give him on this play. It's outrageous.
They covered the 4. They did everything they needed to do last night. They won the game. Yeah, huge night. I don't know why he needs a 19th assist, but you make a really good point there. All right, what else we got?
Pistons with the lead and the ball. Harris, Cunningham, he's wide open and hits a 3. And that could be the dagger. 103-93 Detroit with 1:03 to go.
That highlight is courtesy of 97.1 The Ticket. Cade Cunningham, 5th game this season, 30.7 rebounds, 7 assists. I don't know who's really paying attention to what the Pistons have been doing this year, but I could not honestly be happier for Pistons fans in the city of Detroit. This team won 14 games last year. Like, they were historically bad. Like, went on historic losing streaks last year. And for them to be sitting in the 6th spot and pretty comfortably looking like they're going to be solidly in the Eastern Conference playoff field, I'm not expecting them to do much, because right now they'd have to be matched up against the Knicks, even if they catch the Bucks or the Pacers for that.
The Adam Gold Show and Adam Gold Victoria on the ones and twos. I know we're on YouTube. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show or /999 The Fan.
You can
but
watch
apparently
us.
there's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yes.
So
you won't hear us, but you can watch us right now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You're watching us?
Yes. Yes.
Silent movies.
Everyone is very excited about EJ, which they should be, because EJ is fantastic.
Subtitles.
But yes, so we are currently working on the YouTube audio issues, but old school radio still works for now. We will keep you posted.
On the other side, I've gotten a glimpse at the morning skate forward combinations. We'll do that on the other side. Right now, it's time for one-timers.
And I did get word that we might be back on YouTube, so I will check that and verify for you. But with one-timers, we have a question from Twitter. Someone sent it to me, which you can find me at V to the Victoria on the Twitter with some underscores in there.
Like every other letter.
Yes. But this one is, which team do you think has the best chance of bringing a trophy home to the Triangle in 2025? Carolina Hurricanes, NC State women's basketball, UNC women's, or Duke men's?
Duke men. Duke men, best chance.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving on to our Carolina Hurricanes. They are playing in Montreal tonight, and I know there's a lot of talk about Mikko, whether he's going to stay, go, yada, yada. All of it comes down to is if he wants to stay here.
Yeah.
So, with that, which may be a concern for you on whether or not he wants to stay? Do you think that we should really be worried about it, or we should just chill out?
Don't worry about it. Seriously, don't worry about it. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Because if it's not Mikko Rantanen, it's only because he didn't play well. And if he doesn't play well, you don't want to pay somebody $13 million a year to be just okay. So you move on. There's going to be other players. So I'm not worried about it. You should not be worried about it. Nobody should be worried about it. We should enjoy the last 25 games of this season. Lines next. It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. We'll talk Duke basketball a little bit later on. Blue Devils are in action at Miami tonight. Sion James had a big game. So real quick, before we get to the Hurricanes and the way they will set up in Montreal tonight, second game back after the Four Nations face-off and the last game of this little two-game Canadian road excursion before they come home to play Buffalo for Whalers night on Thursday. Yesterday, we talked about Duke, and I made reference to Sion James. Now, I want to say I know that his name is Sion, and I do not know why I keep calling him Sion, but I do.
Well, there was a car, or there might still be.
Yes.
But it's called Sion. It's pronounced
Scion.
Right, and so maybe that's where it came from. I don't know.
Maybe. My bad.
That's what I blame it for me.
Could be. It could be also Zion Williamson, right? I have no idea.
Very true.
But so a lovely caller. Well, I don't even know how I got this. This message was sent to, I think, News down at WRAL. I think it was forwarded to me through News. Anyway, I don't believe this person even gave their name.
I think she might have.
Maybe she did. Anyway, message from a listener of the program that I received. I just wanted you to play it.
Hi, my name is Fern, and I'm a big fan of the Adam Gold Show. If this is his number, I thought I'd pass along to him, I think, what the correct pronunciation is of that Duke player's name. It is Sion, not Sion. I thought it was Sion as well, but he pronounces his name Sion. Again, for whatever that's worth, but I do enjoy his show, and I think Adam Gold is a fan of Sion's as well, and I thought I'd share the correct pronunciation of his name. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
There you go. And a polite way of doing it.
Unbelievable.
Not like, hey, dummy.
Right. and I know his pronunciation is Sion. I pledge to do better.
It's okay.
Look, there are things that I, for some reason, have trouble pronouncing. It took me about 5 years to say Antetokounmpo. Giannis's last name.
Mm-hmm.
Even the other day, we had Brendan on, and I know how to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to get it,
Yep.
and I still screw it up every once in a while. But Sion James, Sion James, Sion.
As someone who has a name that gets messed up every opportunity, it
Victoria?
gets said. Yeah, that one. Veronica? No.
You get that, don't you?
I do get that. But yeah, the last name trips people up. So I get it.
So my wife's name is Aileen, and a lot of people still call her Eileen because people do spell Eileen at times with an A-I.
Right.
But it is Aileen. Anyway, there you go. Let's run it back.
2, 1.
Oh, a new one.
No, it's the same one. It's just it sneaks in there every now and again.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it. All right, so this is our second look at the news of the day, take two, I guess. So I want to start with the Hurricanes because we briefly touched on it in the very first segment of the show. And we thank EJ Hradek for joining us last hour. We talked mostly about Four Nations. Then we got into some Hurricane stuff at the end of that. So everybody's trying to get Mikko Rantanen going, even though the underlying numbers say that he's been good. It's that it just hasn't gone. He's hit a couple of posts. He lifted a shot from in tight over the crossbar yesterday. That's a goal. Otherwise, I still contend, even though we had Corey Lavalette on yesterday, if you look, after it was 4-3, pretty soon after, Rantanen had the puck inside the top of the right faceoff circle with, I thought, a clear lane to shoot the puck with a bevy of humanity in front, and he passed the puck into the slot in front of the goal rather than shoot. To me, that's got to be a shot. You have just as good a chance to get a rebound as you do passing the puck into the slot, hoping that it reaches a teammate's stick. regardless of that, Rantanen has been good, but not great. Nobody on his team has been anything better than good. So I'm not worried. But here are your morning skate line combinations, which are sure to make some of you angry. So, and I'm not going to label the lines 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Because it's silly. This is how they were listed. Sebastian Aho centering Jackson Blake and Taylor Hall. Aho and Blake have some chemistry. I like it. I think Taylor Hall's been largely a positive. Didn't think he was necessarily all that great in Toronto, but nobody was. Jack Roslovic centering Mikko Rantanen and Andrei Svechnikov. Okay. Jordan Stahl with Seth Jarvis and Jordan Martinook. This is a line we have seen several times before. It's the only line we know works. I keep saying it. Jarvis fits. He fits with Stahl and Martinook. The way he plays, very similar to the way they play. I know Jarvis is one of your top offensive players. You want him playing with better players. But I don't know, man. If Stahl and Martinook keep getting you the puck, then Jarvis has the puck in advantageous spots. So I don't care who plays with who as long as it produces offense. And right now, Jarvis with Stahl and Martinook has produced offense. I'd let it go. Jesperi Kotkaniemi with Tyson Jost and Eric Robinson. I think Robinson has played so well. To me, it's almost a waste to have Robinson down in the lineup because I think Robinson can create opportunities further up in the lineup. But here's what I will always say. Rod Brindamore is not afraid to change up forward combinations. We always look at it in lines. I think smart people look at it in pairs. Not lines, not threes, but twos. Now, if you have a line where all three really click together, then that's fine. But for me, it's mostly about duos, not trios. So as long as you have at least two guys on a line that do get each other, then I think you're probably okay. But I think you can put Robinson just about anywhere and be effective. Heck, I wouldn't even hate Robinson playing on a line with, let's say, Aho and Jarvis. I wouldn't hate that, but some of you might. The one thing that people are most mad about is that there are no changes to the defensive combinations. And I talked about this yesterday. I talked about it on a podcast. I will talk about it here briefly. I will talk about it tonight on the Canes Corner podcast live after the game, about 45 minutes after the final horn, and that there are no current options away from the 6 NHL defensemen that they've got. If you create a Slavin-Chatfield top pair, then you are saying that Burns and Gostisbehere play together, no good, or Burns and Orlov play together, no good. The Hurricanes have two defense-first defensemen, Chatfield and Slavin. They're going to play separately for now. Down the road, we'll see. But for now, that's how they're going to play. Sean Walker is probably the third guy who might be a blend of defense, offense, with maybe defense being even. And maybe he's an option to play with Slavin. But again, we get back to Burns can't play with anybody not named Jacob Slavin. So we got to stop. The only thing I would say is this. I think you could play Chatfield on his offside. And maybe Walker goes up with Slavin, which again isn't a great option. And you could have Burns and Chatfield play together and Orlov play his offside because he also plays well on his offside. You can have Orlov play the right side with Gostisbehere. But again, they're set up the best way for them. We must get over these things. Look, I have thought a lot about whether the Hurricanes make a trade. They've got a little bit of cap room, not much. Do they bring in another defenseman? I thought you'd bring in depth. Maybe they need somebody who can actually play over what they've got. I don't think Scott Morrow is ready to play in a playoff push or a playoff series. But if Burns, Orlov don't get better, well, then everything should be on the table, including Morrow, including Alexander Nikishin, if he's signed coming over from the KHL, which can't happen till the end of March anyway. So the roster is probably not going to change barring a trade. And I don't think the Hurricanes are going to bring in anything significant this year in a trade. The only other thing that they could do right now, Bradley Nadeau is on one in the American Hockey League. Maybe that's an option for them. But that option won't come until later, and it will probably come at the expense of another player being sent back to the minor leagues. Right? So, chill. Just chill. The worst thing you can do is overreact to a team that hasn't played consistently well for a couple of months. We know what's there. We know what they can do. Relax. They're in good shape without playing well. I said this yesterday. In spite of the fact that they have played less than their best hockey, they're still number 2 in the Metropolitan Division. Maybe that's because the Devils haven't taken advantage of it, and maybe the Devils will click into high gear and Carolina won't be able to keep up. All right. I don't think that's the case because I think Carolina's in the exact same boat, and I trust what they've got. I'd like to see the goaltending improve. I'd like to see Kochetkov and Anderson. It'll be Freddie Anderson tonight. I'd like to see Anderson take a step forward. They need one of those two guys to really establish himself. They're going to alternate the rest of the way. But they need one of them to establish himself as, all right, playoff start today, I'm the guy. My money is still on Anderson being that guy, but we will see. And a big opportunity for him tonight against Montreal. And frankly, it should look good against Montreal. The Canadiens haven't scored much lately. Again, I mentioned this before. Less than 2.5 goals per game the last 10. This should be, I'm not saying should be a Carolina win, because Montreal's got some danger to them. Patrick Laine starting to play well. You've got 2 really good dynamic young players in Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. Lane Hudson is a prospect on the back end. They've got players. They have decent goaltending in Sam Montembeault, but the truth of the matter is that if the Hurricanes play their game, they should be fine tonight.
Yes.
See if they can play their game.
They need to get a win, at least for their momentum.
Yes, well, it'll come up in Place Your Bets. We might be buying a win tonight.
That's okay.
Might be buying a win tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All right, Blue Devils are in Miami tonight. Real quick about Duke, they have an outstanding coaching staff. Shockingly enough, not all are former Dukies. It's possible. Jay Lucas, he started coaching, I think he was at Kentucky, he was at Texas, where he played in college. He played at the University of Texas. His dad, of course, is the great John Lucas, who was a Durham legend, played basketball at Maryland, NBA. I mean, legendary player. But Jay is a great coach, defensive-minded, and he will be the new coach at the University of Miami next year. Contract hasn't been finalized, but everybody's in agreement that it's going to happen. Duke happens to be playing at Miami tonight, and everybody knows about it, and it is awkward. But they'll get through it. They're all pros. Shire and Lucas have a great relationship. They're very close friends as well as, I guess, employer-employee. But John's not worried about it. It's probably more awkward for other people than it is for those two, but they'll get through it. Duke at Miami tonight. Great win for North Carolina last night as they scored 96 points in a win at Florida State. But before everybody goes nuts about Tar Heels are back, defensively, you allowed Florida State to shoot 54% from the floor. 50% from 3. Florida State ain't that good. So you made them look better. Granted, you scored a lot. and that's good. It's good to see North Carolina's offense because I think they're going to have to be carried by that. As in order to win the games that they've got to win, they must have their best offensive game going. They are not a team that's going to rely on stops to get it done. They're going to have to outscore the opposition, and that's what they did last night. That win was simply better than a loss. They must win Miami at home, at Virginia Tech. They play Duke, end of the regular season. They're going to have to win the 2 games. Now they've won 4 in a row. And then 2 games at the ACC tournament to overcome what potentially could be 3 losses to Duke this year. But losing 3 times to Duke is not something that should keep you out of the NCAA tournament. They can still get in, but they got to win games. All right, we're going to talk to Konata Edwards, our friend, CBSSports.com, about the hiring of Jim Tanner as the general manager and executive director of UNC basketball. So Nada's going to join us to do that. We have Luka playing against Dallas tonight, first time going up against his former team. So we got a lot of stuff to talk to with regards of the sport of basketball with Konata Edwards next.
Big Willie style's all in it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it.
The Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. And we are getting jiggy with it.
I mean, this is a great song.
Look, I am a fan. I know this is how this is going to come off. I am a fan of Big Willie style. I love the album.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. You want to play Candy? I'm good. You want to play Miami? I'm good. I got it. I can listen to that album.
Oh, yeah.
I could also listen to our next guest, my friend Konata Edwards at Nada the Scribe on Twitter. Admit it, you also like Big Willie style.
Who doesn't? I'm a child of the 90s. Of course I love that album. Are you kidding me?
Gosh, it just makes you smile.
Yes, it does.
And you haven't noticed who's on the screen yet either.
Exactly.
I see him.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd be excited.
I saw my peripheral. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the camera. I'm trying to be a pro here. That is Konata Edwards, Nada the Scribe on Twitter. On YouTube, you can see his smiling face. All right. So Jim Tanner was hired as the executive director, general manager, UNC basketball. And I know you have some thoughts, some much more important thoughts than mine. But here's what I kept seeing throughout all of the stories I read that, and it's in quotes, most importantly, a UNC grad. And I thought that among the dumbest things ever written, that would be at the front of the list because at best it's an added bonus. Because if it's most important that he's a UNC grad, I'm at this point wondering, all right, are there bodies buried somewhere that only UNC grads know about how to keep hidden? Because that to me is fundamentally dumb to hire somebody simply because they went to UNC.
I'm at Adam, this doesn't make a lick of sense to me. This does not. And this is why I had to get on camera for this, because I want to make this incredibly clear for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
This, UNC has not learned their lesson. It's very clear between this and the Hubert extension that was signed after they got their doors blown off after the Alabama game. They have not learned their lesson. Duke is clearly ahead in the horizon, very, very far. Mm-hmm. They figured it out. And you would think, okay, I can just copy the answer sheet of what Duke's doing, and okay, we'll be fine in a year or two. No, you're just going to continue to do your own thing. Keep it in the family, because keeping it in the family has gotten you one national championship appearance and one Final Four? That's it. For North Carolina, that's not enough. Keeping it in the family has gotten you 1-10 in Q1 this year. That's how good keeping it in the family has done. And I think the tradition that they're keeping to has become a shackle to what they can be going forward.
All right, two things about this, because I'm not sure that they're either connected or they're not. And I know your criticism of the hire is that if you look at what Duke did with Rachel Baker, her expertise was in grassroots basketball. The Nike EYBL community and brand building through that, and how that translates into NIL and roster building and retention at Duke, and also knowing that community better. Jim Tanner's experience is as an NBA player agent. He's an agent of, and he built an incredible company in tandem sports and entertainment. Nobody is knocking it. So my guess is, as a pro in the industry, he should be adaptable to this. But what is the advantage of being ingrained in the grassroots part of the community that maybe Jim Tanner's going to be playing catch-up in?
Because, quite honestly, he doesn't know any of the college players right now. He might have an idea. Tandem Sports might be talking to guys that are NBA ready, but what about those transfer portal guys, those guys, the Kobe Bryas of the world that Kentucky hit on, the Brady Mannix of the world that you hit on? Those guys, you're only going to really figure out through think about Malik Brown. Think about Mason Gillis for Duke. Those two guys have been basically very instrumental. Rachel Baker helped identify them, helped brand build, helped build the NIL to that. That is something that you're only really going to know in cultivating those relationships along the EYBL circuit. That's the advantage. Jim Tanner's going in there cold, and if they hire what is assumed to be another NBA guy, all that's doing is saying, hey, we'll get the pro guys. It's going to treat this somewhat similarly. Like, they'll just listen because they've been in the pros and they know what everybody wants. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. You have to be able to talk one-to-one, be able to get those connections. You have to have those relationships. And thus far, Carolina has not hired anybody that has been able to build those bonds and build those bridges. And for me, it just it keeps coming back to, they think that the Carolina brand is going to save them. And it's not 2016 anymore. It's not even 2020 anymore. It's 2025. Right. NIL is here. The house case is here. And it feels like the building of basketball is completely ignoring that.
Konata Edwards is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I think people will underestimate to their own peril the difference between 2023 and 2025. We crossed the Rubicon when House came down. We have no clue what it's really going to look like. I'll say this because when North Carolina hired Bill Belichick, I said the same thing. And again, these two aren't necessarily identical, but I think there's some similarities.
Oh, there's overlap.
Overlap. For all the people criticizing the hiring of Bill Belichick and what they're trying to do at UNC football, I get it. Chances are you're going to be right. But we don't know what it's going to look like going forward. So I appreciate that they are trying something. They are investing. Let's see if they invest the right way. But again, I do think it's more likely than not that the critics will be proven correct, that this won't work, but I'm going to let it play out and we'll judge it for what it is. I've had this working theory for a while. I think I might have brought it up with you. I'm not sure I have. I think the biggest problem with UNC basketball, and it goes back, really to the end of the Roy era, is that they've been out-recruited in the high school ranks and the prep ranks by Duke, because you have to go back a long way to find a UNC recruit who came in with anything close to the star power that Duke is
Harrison
routinely.
Barnes, right?
Yeah, that's probably it. But
Harrison Barnes.
But Barnes, I don't think when Barnes came in was Barnes thought to be a 1-year player.
Yes.
Okay, he was? Okay.
He was.
So that
Harrison
would be the time, right?
Yeah.
But that's a long time ago now. That's a decade ago. That's more than a decade ago. That's almost 15 years ago, where he and Kyrie were in the same class, right?
Which is the problem with this entire thought exercise, is that they still think it's that point. They think I know you saw the quote from Pitino about a couple days ago, where he's like, high school recruits aren't going to help you. It's going to be these upperclassmen. And yes, Pitino has a point, but that's only if you can't get these young guys. If you're North Carolina, you can get these guys.
Yes.
You just have to be creative, and you have to have the people to develop those relationships with. They don't have those guys right now. And that's 90% of the problem that's going on with North Carolina. And that's why when we start talking about 1-10 in Q1 and build, a lot of this team's flaws were built in the summer when you didn't recruit, when you didn't have those bonds, when you couldn't get a Cliff Amore, you couldn't get a Jonas Adu. A lot of that, partially NIL, but the other part is relationships, and they don't have those guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, the basis, the foundation for Duke's teams over the last several years have been the incoming freshmen, right? And they haven't always done the best job at putting veteran players around them. It looks like this year that they certainly have. Healthy Malik Brown, Mason Gillis is like an 8th or 9th guy, but versatile piece who can shoot the basketball and a great leader and a winner. And Sion James, my gosh, is he a dynamite player who has basically kicked Caleb Foster to the curb. If Sion James doesn't do that, if he doesn't emerge, then Caleb Foster's probably still playing. But the basis for this team is Flagg, Knipple, Malawak, to an extent, Isaiah Evans off the bench in what he can do. These are all freshmen, and that's where I think I'm stunned that North Carolina has become, and they're still good, but they're not.
Are they?
Look, I think the two big freshmen are outstanding players. Jackson and Powell are both great players. They're not NBA guys this year. They need to recruit at that level. You need to have at least one guy who probably isn't going to play a second year if you're really recruiting. And they don't have. I don't think those guys are that.
But I also think that they thought Ian Jackson was going to be that guy.
Maybe.
And for a little while, he looked like it. He looked similar. He looked like what Isaiah Collier was supposed to be last year. And then Hubert stuck him at the 4, and then we didn't hear from him for about 2.5 weeks. So there's a lot of this where, again, the self-inflicted wounds of the roster building come back to haunt you. They thought they had those guys. They thought they had that talent. And again, I just keep coming back to it's this arrogance that the Carolina way is always going to work. You just put Jordan's Ferrari in the tunnel, and you're going to get these guys. And it doesn't necessarily work like that all the time.
Konata Edwards is joining us here, CBS Sports Ion College Basketball Podcast. Here's the thing about, because I just read the story, James Harden is apparently contributing a lot of money to Arizona State's basketball NIL. What is this? What level of expectation should there be from UNC to get their former players involved in that? And does it matter?
It doesn't matter because, well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. For Arizona State, it should matter. For the brand of North Carolina, it should not matter.
Right.
You have deals with Coke. You have deals with Learfield. You have a bunch of national brand sponsorships. That money should be flowing in and rolling in and being able to pay whomever you like. Plus, you have the booster money. That should be more than enough. If you need to go to Harrison Barnes, you need to go to Jordan, you need to go to Anton Jameson, cool. You want to kick it to them so that they can pass the hat and build up the NIL war chest a little bit more. Okay, cool. I understand. But you really shouldn't need that considering you are probably in college sports, you're a top 5 brand in college athletics, period, at this point.
All right, two quick things. I want to ask you about Luka playing against the Mavericks tonight, but one more thing, because I brought this up yesterday on Coach K's Sirius XM show. He and Rick Pitino kind of mused about a potential Big East ACC basketball merger. Like, merger is probably not the right word because I don't think that's going to happen. But what kind of an alignment could ACC basketball and Big East basketball form that would in any way eat into what's going on with the Southeastern Conference and to a lesser extent the Big Ten?
I'm just trying to think of that kind of alliance and think about Dan Hurley in Greensboro or Dan Hurley in Atlanta. And I'm just trying to think about him dealing with Teddy Valentine and him going, I'm the best effing coach in the sport. I'm trying to imagine that and not just laugh.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I do think there's some merit to it. I just, for me, if you're the ACC, why don't you just go get UConn? Why don't you just go get UConn? Why don't you just go get St. John's and call it a day? That's the only two you really need. That way you justify going to Brooklyn a little bit more than you actually do.
I would never go to Brookln again. If you can't get to the Garden, I'd stay out of New York City. I'm sorry.
So would I.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go, if they're going to continue this Brooklyn experiment, it's possible they might. If you're going to continue to do it, then you might as well go get a UConn. You might as well go get somebody that will actually fill the building, someone that actually matters in New York City. Because
Duke matters in New York City.
Yes,
they filled the Garden again.
They did fill the Garden, and mind you, they sold. It was a sold-out slaughter, and we unfortunately don't get to talk about that nearly enough.
Oof.
But at the same point, you know what I mean. Everyone fills the Garden for ACC tournament, Brooklyn for the ACC tournament when it comes to Duke. Every other game, it's half empty.
I know.
If you get St. John's, you get UConn, you at least guarantee someone's going to be there to see some of these games more than I guess that's my thing is if you're going to talk about doing an alliance, you might as well just go get UConn. You might as well just go get St. John's and call it a day.
St. John's has no staying power without Rick Pitino. Promise.
Agreed.
None of the city schools in college basketball have any
Fair.
staying power unless you have one of those coaches. Jay Wright can make Villanova a thing because Jay Wright, although Villanova is more suburb, they're more mainline than they are, Philly. I understand Villanova's sort of in Philadelphia, but it's really more of a...
It's of Philadelphia, not in Philadelphia. That's
good.
the way we should put that.
All right, real quick. How many does Luka hang on the Mavericks tonight?
My answer is I hope Nico Harrison has security with him. That's my answer. I hope Nico Harrison has security because that's basically it at this point. I don't like he's going to put at least 45. And really? That might be the lowest scoring output. We might see the lowest scoring output from LeBron James in about 3 years. Tonight.
LeBron might have 30 assists.
He's going to have 30, 35 assists, and it's all going to be have you seen the fast break stuff that they're doing already?
No, I haven't
and they
seen
don't
it
even
yet.
have the timing yet.
Yeah.
Adam, I can't wait for you to see it tonight.
I can't.
It is going.
Do you think, first of all, I got a hockey game tonight. Do you think there's a chance I'll be watching a game at 11:30 tonight? I'm an old man, Konata.
You're young at heart, though, Adam. You're young at heart. So that's why I have faith in you. And more importantly, you're going to watch at least the highlights. And there's going to be at least some Kevin Love outlet passes to Luka Doncic while he's snowbirding down on the other side. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome TV. I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait to see the size of Nico Harrison's security detail.
I'm glad you came on video for this. Our friend, Not of the Scribe, at Not of the Scribe on Twitter, Konata Edwards, Ion College Basketball Podcast, CBSSports.com. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you soon, man.
That was awesome. Look, I want people to understand that we don't know how it's going to play out with Jim Tanner. What I'm hanging my opinion on is that, and I'm not saying that UNC did it this way, okay? Because I'm sure, I'm not sure, I hope that he was not hired because he is a Tar Heel. Because that would be backwards. You hire the right person, and it becomes an added bonus that he went to UNC. Don't hire who are our North Carolina in-house, in-the-family candidates, and we'll hire one of those. Because if you're making a Venn diagram, qualified people, UNC grads, it's not going to be a full circle. So now you are just automatically limiting your focus. You should never do that. It's too important of a role in college athletics, not just college basketball. In college athletics, it's too important a role to narrow your pool of viable candidates. So again, my hope, and I know there are smart people at UNC, so I'm fairly certain but not positive that it becomes an added bonus that Jim Tanner's a grad, but not most importantly, because that's silly. We will stretch. We will place bets. Going to buy the Hurricanes a win tonight. Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Oh, it's a big NBA game night tonight. Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And check this out. A 50% same-game parlay profit boost for tonight's matchup between the Mavericks and the Lakers. Yes, Luka versus Dallas. Anthony Davis versus the Lakers, as though Anthony Davis is going to play. Either way, how about a 3-leg parlay? You can do all Luka, and if it hits, you get a 50% bigger payout. That's right. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your single game parlay profit boost for the Mavericks and the Lakers. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and maximum wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college, whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans. It all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
One Adam.
Gold.
One Adam.
Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
We're digging the crates today. Nice.
Oh, I know. So, sometimes I go down a rabbit hole. I loved this Justin Timberlake air.
I did too. One of my favorite all-time shows to attend. I don't think it was the 2020 tour. I think it was the tour before.
Right.
Might have been the 2020 tour. I don't remember.
There was one, I want to say in 19, so it was probably the year before, where he came here.
Yes. It was earlier than that because my older son was like 15 years old. And so I took him. He wanted to go see Timberlake. I took him to the show, and he was like people watching.
Yeah.
All of the like moms.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what's going on here?
Exactly. That is taking them back to a time.
Yes, it
sir.
was. Yes, it was. He was not prepared for that. It was a great show. He is super talented. My son, but
right.
Timberlake is incredible performer.
Yes.
One of my all-time favorite concerts.
That's why his tickets are ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since, but I mean, he's dynamite. All right, we should stretch.
And speaking of expensive tickets, actually, so I was reading about the highest average ticket price in every major sport for one ticket. So what they did was they took a bunch of different events and basically pointed out the most expensive ticket for that. And wow. Okay, I won't tell you the most expensive yet. However, certain ones that are kind of close to home, so for instance, in college basketball, men's college basketball, they say for Coach K's final home game at Duke back in 2022, someone paid $5,307, which I can believe 100%. They also looked at other things, looking at college football, the 2025 national championship where it was Notre Dame versus Ohio State. That one went for about $2,600. Then looking at the NFL, a non-Super Bowl game, the NFC divisional game between the Commanders, or Commandos, and the Lions in 2025. Yes. That went for almost $1,000. So if you are a Lions fan, that's so great. Also, World Series. We love baseball. I love my Cubbies.
Yes, you do.
I wish I would have. If I would have known that it would have turned out this way, I probably would have paid this much too, potentially. But in Major League Baseball, Game 7 of the 2016 World Series between the Cubs and the Indians, someone paid just under $3,000 for it, $2,900. But I mean, if you
that
know,
seems reasonable. Actually,
I know. I was gonna say,
I don't get it. Well, is that surprising?
No, see, and that's the thing. That's not surprising for me. I totally would pay $3,000 to go see the Cubbies win the World Series. And last but not least, the most expensive seat I have seen in this list is for the Super Bowl. No surprise there. Actually, the Super Bowl 58, 2024, between the Chiefs and the 49ers, someone paid about $12,000.
Really?
And I don't know if they were a Chiefs fan or a 49ers fan, but I would not want to pay that much and watch your team lose. So.
Yeah. No good.
No, thank you. Oh, and there is an NHL one. Apparently, the 2024 playoff game between the Rangers and the Panthers, someone paid about $2,100 for that one.
Really?
So, again, it's real helpful if you are going to see your team win. But we don't know that, unfortunately, when we're forking out all of that money. One thing a doctor didn't think of when they were prescribing something for a patient was that they could potentially be sued if they get addicted to Candy Crush.
What?
So what happened
really
was a British woman. She was addicted to Candy Crush and actually won a huge lawsuit in court. And the judge said it was the doctor's fault. Now, basically what the gist of this is years ago she got hooked on it, couldn't stop playing. It was like a gateway drug for her because she had went to the doctor and they prescribed her a medicine for restless leg syndrome.
Okay.
Which people have had before. If you're ever trying to go to sleep, that's usually when you figure out, oh, this is awful. So to help, they prescribed her a medicine called Ropanol. Who knows? And this is supposed to help with restless leg syndrome, but it also mimics the effects of a feel-good hormone, dopamine. And one of the side effects is it can make you more impulsive.
Oh, no.
Exactly. Well, they gave her double the amount of dosage that she should have gotten.
Oy.
And so because of this, around the same time as when she picked up Candy Crush, which she then started doing slot machines. You see where this is going.
Yeah.
Now she's suing the doctor, and the judge agreed with her. So she now won a lawsuit for $215,000 in damages.
Nice.
for playing too much Candy Crush. So, wow, there's that. I don't know. I've seen crazier
There are better
things.
games than that, aren't there?
I think so, but I can understand how that could get you.
Do you play any games on your phone?
Oh, yeah, big time.
What do you play?
Big time. This is a new one. This is a new one I picked up probably a month ago, and now I'm kind of addicted. It's like Tetris, but it's a different form of Tetris. I call it Blockbuster, but it's not.
Right.
It's like Block something, but it's like a Tetris form. Takes me
Okay.
back. So, yeah.
All right.
But it's one of those games where it's like, it's a little thought-provoking, but it also kills time when you're just exhausted at the end of the day.
Gotcha. I went through all of my phases.
Yes.
I do a lot of Sudoku.
Oh, yeah. I had that phase, too.
So, yeah.
Yep. Solitaire phase. I'll go in waves where I'll play like solitaire a lot. Or Mahjong. Play that a lot, too.
Mahjong?
Oh, yeah.
My mother played Mahjong back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Bam, crack, dot. That's all I remember hearing constantly at the kitchen table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I do Sudoku. I do
Is that your current...
logic problems are what I...
Is that your current addiction to...
I'm not addicted to any... I play it not that often.
Yeah.
I'm much more trolling social media.
Yeah, and working with horses. You gotta do a lot of
but I don't do that on my phone.
No, you can't do
That's
that
a
on your
problem.
phone. One thing you can do on your phone, though, place some bets.
Exactly.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right. We didn't get the under. Carolina didn't go under.
No.
They destroyed under.
I know.
So, too bad. But we did get the game right, but that doesn't really matter because we didn't get the wager right. I don't remember what else happened, but let's go.
Okay, well, obviously we've got another game, Duke versus Miami tonight. So give me Duke, obviously, and I'm going to take the over because they could probably hit that themselves, which still isn't plus money, but it's minus 125 if you take Duke and over 151.5.
Oh, so Duke on the money line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, take Duke and the over, and it's still minus 125.
Yeah, I think Duke's going to cover the 22.5.
Yeah.
But I would be more inclined to go Duke in the under, but again, because I don't think Miami's going to do a lot of scoring.
Yeah.
But we're going to start Premier League midweek action, match week 27. I've got a 4-leg parlay for you.
Ooh.
Yes. Throw $1 on this.
Yeah. There's a boost.
$1.
There's got to be a boost.
I'm sure there is. Crystal Palace, home to Villa, winner. Bournemouth, away to Brighton, winner. Fulham, away to Wolves, winner. Chelsea, home to Southampton, winner. It's about plus 2,400.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Definitely use a boost.
No chance. $1.
But yeah, for $1, you never know.
$1.
Might as well. My next one, going to the ice because our Carolina Hurricanes are going to be in Montreal taking on the Canadiens. So give me Mikko Rantanen because it's going to be his night to be an anytime goal scorer, plus 140.
We'll save that for last. I like Columbus to beat Dallas in Columbus at plus 155. No frills. Give me a winner. Blue Jackets.
Okay.
Chasing a playoff spot.
Oh, nice. All right, and last but not least, I'm taking our Carolina Hurricanes, hopefully, please, and I'm going to take the under because it's set at 6.5, so Canes under 6.5 is plus 150.
I actually saw it at 6, even. Kind of weird. They usually like to work on the halves, but we're going to buy a win.
Okay.
Montreal plus 180 on home ice at Bell Center. There are some exotics you can throw with this, by the way. You could also throw Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield to each get at least 1 point in the game. Montreal and those two would be plus almost 450. Obviously we want the Hurricanes to win, but Montreal plus 180 at home against a team that is struggling to score. Like I said, I am willing to donate my own money.
Well, you're going to win like $5,000 on your soccer one. So.
No, I'm not going to win 5. I'm going to win like $50 because it's $1. That's all I'm asking.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Kevin Keats and state basketball have to do something, and I'll tell you what that is. They have to acknowledge what is happening. This season, it's a failure. That's not to say each individual player isn't working harder. There's no likable people in the program. It's just that after last season, this season, it's not enough. And you have to figure out how to fix it for next season.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts.
It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Not a great game for Sebastian, and knowing what he's like, he's probably, I would not, and the fact that he's going to be playing in Montreal, where it seems like he still has a little bit of extra juice for those games.
Yeah.
I would put some betting money on something for Sebastian Aho, just like I would say everybody should have put some betting money on the over for every game coming out of the Four Nations.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. That was Corey Lavalette. Covers the Hurricanes for The Athletic and North State Journal. I read his got a mailbag column up right now on The Athletic. 25 games left in the season. It's a big game tonight. I mean, they're all big. It's big for the standings. Carolina's tied with New Jersey on 70 points. Carolina's got 2 games in hand. I like Carolina's chances to stay in front of New Jersey in the race, get home ice advantage for the first round of the playoffs. Right now, if the playoffs started today, and they don't, always important to remind people of that. If the playoffs started today, the Ottawa Senators and Detroit Red Wings would be in wild card positions. Columbus is 1 point out of a wild card spot. I think the Rangers are 2 points out of a wild card position. Right now, I think the Rangers maybe a 40% chance of making the playoffs, which if you asked them a month ago if they would take that, they probably would say yes. But I think we're staring at a Eastern Conference playoff field that will not have a team from the state of New York in it and will not have the Boston Bruins. That is remarkable. No Rangers, no Islanders, no Bruins in the playoffs, no Sabres. We're not that surprised about that. But that's what I believe that we're going to see in the East. Those teams out. Ottawa's definitely on the move. Detroit has played really well. I still think Columbus is going to make a push. The more I've watched that team, the more I think that team really just has a good feel about it. And I'm not sure you can say that about the other teams. I think Boston's kind of cooked. I think the Rangers are the most dangerous team of the old guard who could still make a run because the Rangers should be better. But I also don't think the Rangers are entirely healthy, and I think their blue line is shockingly mediocre.
Yes, which is weird for the Rangers.
Shockingly mediocre. Trading Jacob Trouba wasn't a problem, but they do not. Like I'm surprised Keandre Miller hasn't had a great year. Adam Fox hasn't had a great year. They've got pieces. It's just not been working this season. I don't know if they get crazy and really try to move pieces around. I don't think I would do that if I were them. I would let the season play out before I did that and then kind of reassess in the offseason because they still might make the playoffs. At the end of the day, they still pay Igor Shesterkin in net. So when you have a goalie like that, I think you give yourself a chance. But it's really defense and, honestly, the guys like Zibanejad and Kreider that haven't been good this year. And they're not the only ones, but they just haven't been good. All right, let's get to a wall of sound. We have heard from Carolina Panthers brass in Indy.
The wall of sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, let's get to it. And by the way, coming up in about 10 minutes, our friend Elliot Johnson, former big leaguer, on a couple of things regarding Big League Baseball that are worth discussing, including the breakup of ESPN and Major League Baseball and how that might impact the salary cap going forward. After this season, we get one more year of baseball. All right, Dan Morgan, general manager, your Carolina Panthers. On defense, the emphasis, but offense, we haven't forgotten you.
We do like young guys. I mean, it's not going to sway us one way or another, but it is nice to have young guys that, can grow and develop, especially on a team that's building a locker room, building a culture, and building a team. So it's nice to have some of those young guys, but you also have to mix in some of these veterans too, just to kind of show these guys the way.
All right, so everybody's convening at the Combine right now. We're all meeting there. We know what the Combine is, the largest job fair in the NFL. So they're going to try to find, players that they can draft. It ain't about the first-round pick for them. I mean, you want to get that right, but it's really about all those other picks, getting players who can help. This past draft looked like it was pretty good. in terms of getting players in later rounds that could help. Do I think that they made some mistakes? Yes, I do. We've gone through that. We'll go get that in further detail later. I think they shouldn't have drafted the running back. No offense. This is not revisionist history. Jonathan Brooks has nothing to do with the injury, or it has nothing to do with coming off the injury. It had everything to do with what they needed. There were cornerbacks where they could have drafted early in the second round that they decided against, and I believe one of them won a Super Bowl. Morgan on the need for help on the defensive line.
Both sides of the ball, you have to win the line of scrimmage. You have to be bigger, you have to be tougher, you have to be more physical, and that's what we're looking to do around here. We're looking to build that defensive line like we built the offensive line last season, give the fans a good product on the field, give all of us a good product on the field, and we're excited. We're excited about the guys in free agency. We're excited about the guys in the draft, and we think we can fill some of those holes.
Could the Panthers, even though they need defense, draft a tight end from Penn State at number 7? Now, you already got J.T. Sanders, right? But Dan Morgan he says tight end is a position of need.
Our tight end room is, pretty thin tight end room right now. Jatavian Sanders, is the frontline guy right now. That is an area that we need to address, whether in free agency or draft or both. Tommy's a guy that we would like to get back. We're going to let him test the market. We're going to let him and his agents and his team, be here and kind of see what the market is for them. And we'll circle back with them after they kind of gather that. But we would like to have him back.
All right. All of these things are important. One more thing real quick from Dan Morgan. Xavier Legette was injured at the end of the season, and we get an update from Morgan on him.
Our doctors and his side evaluated that and felt like surgery wasn't needed. I think he needs the off season just to kind of heal up a little bit from the wrist perspective. From the foot perspective, he was having some discomfort in his foot pretty much all season, so we decided to do a little procedure on that. I think it's more of a short-term, in terms of recovery. I think it's more short-term, so he'll be running sooner than later, and he'll be ready to go.
All right, I don't know if Xavier Legette is a number one wide receiver. I don't think he is. I think he profiles more as a 2, but they just need available bodies to throw to.
I know.
So
it is sad to see Shaq Thompson. I know he's up for free agency, and that came out yesterday. So it's sad to see one of the last remaining members of when we were in our better days.
Darren Gann, who joins us a lot, he also has a mailbag thing out, and it's a great piece. I love reading his stuff. But there's a blurb in there about Shaq Thompson and really about what Thompson has meant to the organization. If you're a Panthers fan, go check out Ask the Old Guy, because I just think it's worth reading.
Yeah.
There's a living definition of being a professional athlete, and it isn't necessarily you get paid to play. Shaq Thompson is a professional person who happens to play football.
Yes.
And those
I love
guys,
having those guys on the team.
I mean, invaluable, the impact that they have. And his impact will be felt even as he leaves the organization. All right, to the Carolina Hurricanes, who are in Montreal tonight, and we're going to start with Mikko Rantanen, because Rod Brindamore, after the morning skate, was asked about Mikko finding his way.
Well, I think it takes a long time for guys that have been really entrenched somewhere and had a lot of success, and it takes time to just feel yourself. And I think he's played really well. He just hasn't been rewarded for, he's all around it. It's just the puck hasn't gone in, or players he's set up haven't scored. It's just been a tough kind of start that way. But I know it's tough when you get traded in general. But when you get traded, when you, like I said, have been such a corner piece in somewhere, it just takes a little time to kind of brush that off and move on.
We talked about this yesterday. These are human beings. They're not chess pieces. They're not baseball cards. It's not fantasy football. These are people who now have to make serious, personal, professional adjustments that they haven't had to make in 10 years. So chill, relax. Also, don't pay too much attention to the line combinations tonight. The head coach was asked how Carolina as a team can get back to doing Carolina Hurricanes things.
Yeah, I mean, I think every team has that their I guess you call it identity and things that they want to, make sure they're hanging on to every game. And I think we've done that. It's just the stretches where we've got away from it. It's really, caught us. And I talked about the other day where it's 5-6 minutes here or there a game, and the rest of the game looks pretty good. But that's enough to, put you behind the 8 ball, and that's kind of where we've been biting it. So the consistency part throughout the whole 60 minutes is obviously every team's trying to do that. It's not easy to do in this league. I mean, everybody's playing the same way for the most part, and we got when we're good though. I think we're very, very noticeable in the consistency aspect from all the players.
That's the head coach. Yeah, I mean, the first half of the first period was dreadful, and they trailed 3-0. That fourth goal, yeah, bad. And it was bad on a lot of people. I said it yesterday extensively. I did it in the podcast on Saturday night after the Canes lost in Toronto. Brent Burns wasn't any good. Shane Gostisbehere wasn't any good. Dmitry Orlov wasn't any good. And Pyotr Kochetkov wasn't good enough early. That could have been 2, didn't have to be 4. Leave it at that. When we come back, ESPN and Major League Baseball separating after this year. Elliot Johnson on what that might mean for the finances of Big League Baseball, plus automated strike zones in effect in spring training. Next.
From the heels,
touchdown Carolina,
to the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the...
Oh my goodness!
Check in for the...
Beautiful back cut and a two-hand jam.
Don't miss the...
Race to the other end, get ready for the show!
What was that?
A reverse pull-up! My goodness! Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot!
You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home!
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Welcome home. Your home is not just where you live, it's where life happens. At Baker Home Exteriors, we're proud to continue Baker Roofing's century-long legacy of excellence, understanding that your home should be as extraordinary as the life within it. Whether it's roofing, siding, gutters, or more, we transform houses into the homes you've always dreamed of. Visit BakerHomeExteriors.com and let's build something beautiful together. That's BakerHomeExteriors.com.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling, we do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling, quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
It's time for the Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month.
Hello. Creighton Blackwell here from Coastal Credit Union and 99.9 The Fan. Tonight we are at Green Level High School, and we're here to celebrate the newest Scholar Athlete of the Month, Lexi Taylor.
My family is definitely like my biggest support through everything. My sister and my parents both support me through my hardest days and my best days, and they're always there to support me.
Lexi is a phenomenal athlete, comfortable with whatever you ask her to do. She's strong, she's poised, she doesn't get flustered easily.
And she's just like grown up so much as like a captain and a teammate, and she's been a captain now for 2 years, and I really just think she's been like such a great help to our team.
Well, I've been cheering with her since 7th grade, and we're seniors now, so I've kind of like watched Lexi like grow up. I feel like, and she's like done the same with me. So I've like seen her like step into a leadership role, and I feel like she's just always super encouraging and keeps a positive attitude.
It means a lot to me to just be able to be recognized in such like a wide area with so many amazing athletes. So I just feel great to like feel like someone's like seeing all the hard work that I've been putting into my sport and my academics. So I'm very grateful for it.
Congratulations, Lexi.
For over 20 years, 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union have been recognizing scholar athletes at Triangle area schools. If you'd like to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a colonial with high ceilings, hardwood floors, and a peaceful neighborhood. And you found it. Now, every Saturday at 6 a.m., you get to wake to the sound of your neighbor's leaf blower. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. So we had seen the rumors for some time that ESPN would opt out of finishing off their contract with Major League Baseball, and they will do that after this upcoming season. Thoughts on how that will impact baseball's national coverage, bottom line, all of that, with Elliot Johnson, former big leaguer, Durham Bulls legend, who joins us on the Adam Gold Show. I think we all saw that coming. We had read about it, heard about it enough. What is the significance of ESPN saying, yeah, we're going to back away from Major League Baseball after next season?
Don't you remember, like, I've got fond memories, Adam, of John Miller and Joe Morgan doing the telecast Sunday Night Baseball. Wasn't that so great?
Yeah.
I mean, John Miller had such a great voice. And Tom, or what's his name? Berman. First, Tom Berman? What is it?
Chris Berman.
Chris Berman, going back.
Yeah.
I remember that run derby with Mark McGuire in Fenway. I'll never forget it. Jason Giambi in Safeco. Back. He's still saying back after it's already landed, just because it's a catchphrase. So I think there's going to be some of that gets lost, unfortunately. And I'll say this about being on this side of the fence from Major League Baseball. Manfred's an exceptional negotiator. He's going to get what he wants. And just like when you fire a manager, you already have in mind who that replacement is going to be before you fire him. So they're well aware that ESPN has kind of been going this direction. They're not going to give up $550 million in revenue. All they're doing is making sure that they have a replacement. So it's going to be Amazon, it'll be Roku, it'll be Apple, it'll be somebody that's going to replace it, and it may be for more money. Maybe it was the cat got out of the bag a little bit early, but you never fire your manager without having somebody else ready to go. So there'll be a way to replace this. And really, it's part of a bigger problem that's going to basically permeate the next work stoppage, Adam, that I'm already hearing is going to occur from what the Dodgers are doing versus the small market teams. So this is going to be a component of that, where the small market teams are probably going to be a little bit more demanding and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah. And in fairness to the product being a little bit more competitive, one of the complaints I hear is that there's not enough parity, but baseball's had a different winner how many years in a row now? Maybe the Dodgers change that here in the near future because they are so good. But there has been fewer winners, or, the Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl how many years in a row, but in baseball, we haven't experienced that. So they're going to try and ram this down the player's throat for salary cap and a floor. But we already know that teams like the Pirates aren't going to play by those rules anyway. So I think it's a non-starter, Adam, but you can almost count on there being a work stoppage, unfortunately.
See, you and I have these conversations all the time, and I keep trying to tell people who are pro salary cap, they point to the NFL, which is an accounting trick. They point to the NBA, which is more of a player movement cap than anything else, because teams are still way outspending other teams. The only sport with a true salary cap is the National Hockey League. And that they have a very rigid one. You can kind of monkey with it a little bit, but not much. Baseball has the most competitive balance in terms of different winners, different teams making the playoffs, making runs. They just have it's. I can't tell. Go look. Count up all the teams that make the playoffs. Count up all the different teams that win World Series, get to a World Series, get to a league championship series. The numbers are mind-blowing how baseball, and it's not dramatic, but what it says is that the economic system doesn't really matter as much as people think. But Manfred did say, Elliot Johnson joining us here in the Adam Gold Show, that don't blame the Dodgers. And I think there's reason to blame the Dodgers, but don't blame the Dodgers. They're just utilizing the system. That you could sign Shohei Ohtani to that contract with almost all of the money deferred lowers their luxury tax burden. And that is something that should be avoided if you're Major League Baseball. But that's just the system that we've got.
So if they wanted to change it right away, Adam, like the players would be amenable to it. I mean, all they got to do is come up with a proposal and say, going forward, these deferrals are actually going to count towards today's dollars. And That's it. And you close it up, Adam. This isn't rocket science. It's not that complicated.
Right.
But they're choosing not to do it deliberately, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you want to change the rules, so be it. They put in a Steve Cohen law, basically, a rule. That was explicit. We all know this. But they didn't put in a Dodgers rule. So now, you got the Rays and the Pirates and the Marlins are crying wolf. And, the Dodgers are saying, we don't care. We're going to beat you. And, we're well within our rights, within the rules to go through with it. So I don't have any problem with it. If these teams were smart, they would do the same thing, Adam. And I know this is basically preaching to the choir here. Can you imagine if Shohei was even with the Pirates, right? It would be a disservice to him, but they would still make money on all the jerseys, on all the corporate season tickets, everything. I mean, you could have a Shohei Ohtani day in Pittsburgh and people would show, you know what I mean? But they're just not creative enough to go through with it.
I remember the summer, the year, it was before he signed with the Dodgers, and there was speculation that he was going to get traded from the Angels, and the Orioles were just kind of emerging. And I had Orioles fans like, well, should we trade for Shohei Ohtani? Well, we can't re-sign him. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Of course you can't.
Every single team could have afforded to pay Shohei Ohtani whatever they wanted, and they would have turned a profit. We go back, 15 or 20 years when Alex Rodriguez signed with the Rangers, and ultimately the Rangers moved him on, and people blamed A-Rod's contract with Texas for them having to break that team up. And I'm like, no, it wasn't the A-Rod contract. He paid for himself. They overspent on Chan-Ho Park, who wasn't any good. It was those deals that made the Rangers not work financially. A-Rod pays for himself. The Ohtanis of the world, every team can afford to pay him whatever they want.
And it's a good point, Adam, because think of with your initial reason why we were talking today. So whichever streaming service or service that gets Major League Baseball, there's a huge demand in Japan to have access to watch their favorite players.
Yes.
So there's going to be an angle there to probably generate more revenue from whatever networks that they can in Japan, because these people are larger than life. They are, Tom Cruise in Japan, whomever your favorite celebrity is.
Yep.
I love Tom Cruise, so I'm going to go ahead and throw him in there. I watched.
Interesting.
I love some Tom. I watched another one of his favorites last night.
What is your favorite Tom Cruise movie? Before I have other things, what is your favorite Tom Cruise movie?
Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. It's just a classic, man. It was such a great movie. Watch it.
Not Risky Business?
More movie than anything else. I love it.
Not Risky Business?
No. Live, Die, Repeat.
Princeton could use a man like Joel.
Oblivion was on last night, Adam. Great movie.
All right. So we came out of the Four Nations tournament. Elliot Johnson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. And we watched USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden, and combinations thereof. And it electrified everybody. It was the worst thing that happened to the NBA All-Star Game because you had professional athletes playing exhibitions who cared about the exhibitions that they were playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Competitive.
Right.
Energy.
All of it. Major League Baseball a couple of years ago, they didn't stumble upon it, but I think it caught them by surprise how big a deal the World Baseball Classic resonated with their players, with their fans. Could Major League Baseball tweak the schedule to where the All-Star break every other year featured the World Baseball Classic semifinals and finals as opposed to an All-Star game?
Yes. So what's the problem with it is looking into the crystal ball, Adam, and the number one criticism always is injuries. So let's say you're in first place and your star pitcher, Jacob deGrom, who would be a favorite for this particular conversation here,
Right.
Adam, gets injured going out for stretching for the World Baseball Classic during the whatever phase is, or he throws a pitch and he gets hurt. And now, I mean, literally, the Rangers are paying him just to be ready in September and October, Adam. And if he's not available because of the World Baseball Classic, that's going to be pretty sour. I think that you're right, though. That's probably the best time to do it because everybody's already in shape. Everybody's already ready to go. And I think it would generate a lot of buzz, Adam. The problem is, what do you do with the Midsummer Classic with the All-Star Game now? Is it basically a glorified, two-hand touch game of the Pro Bowl? Because all the best players are going to be playing in the World Baseball Classic? I don't know. So
I think it replaces the All-Star game when you have it. I think it completely replaces the All-Star game.
And then you still do the Home Run Derby?
I mean, you could do a Home Run Derby, but I think that the World Baseball Classic to watch, because what we saw, and look, it cost the Mets Edwin Diaz that year, remember? After Puerto Rico, right? Where he's jumping up and down on home plate. Or not just like near the mound, and he just blew out his knee. Weird. I just don't think that, because I'll just use this example. Minnesota Wild center Joel Eriksson-Ek in practice today or yesterday got hurt. He's going to be out for like 2 or 3 weeks. So guys can get hurt anywhere.
No doubt.
I know that owners don't want to have their players play exhibitions, but if you're going to get hurt, you're probably going to get hurt. So I just think that to build the sport, not to mention if the World Baseball Classic was sold as a separate package, there's more revenue coming in. I think all Major League Baseball owners like revenue, right?
I'm pretty sure they do, Adam. I'm 100% sure they do. And there's going to be a work stoppage as a result of that, even though they don't want to admit to it. So I think you're onto something, Adam. I think that undeniably the World Baseball Classic has been one of the greatest things for our game because it's made it such a bigger global thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like baseball is the number one sport in Venezuela, Cuba, in the Dominican Republic. But now Japan is starting to catch on, and the best players in the world are coming out of Japan. We don't really care where they come from. We want everyone playing baseball because the larger pool that we can pull from, the best players we can get. We want players coming from anywhere, everywhere. We don't care, if they're from Great Britain, Germany. It doesn't matter. We come one, come all. All that we ask is you be the very, very best that you can possibly be, and look at how much fun it's been to watch Shohei become the player that he's become. Because I think Ichiro influenced him, and there was probably influences on Ichiro. So the more that we can get the game to the masses, the better our game will become.
All right, real quick, Ichiro, almost unanimous Hall of Famer. Some person didn't vote for him. What your impression of what kind of player he was?
Well, amazing, and he spoke perfect English, by the way. If you ever go to Safeco, there's a guy that impersonates him with a wiffle ball bat. And so I remember he had a double or something, and I was like, hey, Ichiro, I almost asked for your autograph. You were in the market yesterday. And he's like, yeah. He's like, he seems to go around everywhere, but, he's not exactly the same height as me. I think the guy was a little bit taller than Ichiro or something like that. And I was like, all right, whatever. But I mean, perfect English. The guy was unbelievable. He controlled the strike zone. He could hit a home run anytime he wanted. He could hit a single up the middle anytime he wanted. He was a tough out all the time. He put a lot of pressure on you. If you bobbled the ball at short, he was safe, Adam. So I don't like all the pettiness that has come as a result of, somebody didn't unanimously let Seaver in. So They didn't unanimously let Jeter in. So they didn't unanimously let Ichiro in. Grow up. If they deserve to be in unanimously, Mariano shouldn't be the only one. Babe Ruth. I mean, I don't know what's going on with these guys, but it's kind of it tells me that we need a little bit more transparency with the voting process, because if you don't vote for Ichiro, then you don't deserve to have a vote.
Well said. Elliot Johnson, Durham Bulls legend, former Atlanta Brave, Cleveland Guardian, Kansas City Royal, and Tampa Bay Ray. Thank you so much, sir. This was fun. We will do it again soon. I don't know if you. We didn't. Real quick, you like the automated the challenge system for balls and strikes?
So I'm a hitter, Adam. So of course I love it. Throw the ball over the plate according to the rules, not based on your arbitrary judgment of what the strike zone is on any given day. Okay, so absolutely, I love it. So throw the ball over the plate. Stop complaining. Stop asking for a bigger strike zone. The days of Greg Maddux where you can get 6 inches off the end are over. Throw the ball according to the rules and grow up. Velocity and hitting is at an all-time most difficult place that it's ever been. So if you don't like the rules, okay, then you should play a different position. But most pitchers couldn't play another position, so they should stop complaining about it, Adam.
Elliot Johnson, you're the best, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Shout out to my boy Austin. See y'all.
You got it. That is awesome. All right, well, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll rewind. Look, real quick about the automated strike zone. In general, I am a fan of simply good umpiring. I do believe that pitching is an art form. Pitching is about deception. That deception doesn't necessarily have to be the batter. I do think that there is value in maybe just 1 or 2 more inches off the plate than the last one, but that's about pitching. With all of that said, as long as it doesn't unduly delay the game, then I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, if for no other reason to stop the complaining, because the complaining's got to go. All right, we'll rewind. When we come back, we have a new general manager for UNC basketball, and we'll talk a little Hurricanes hockey in the rewind next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college, whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans. It all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends, look closer. Right in your community, there are youth who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So, look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. Every youth who walks into Covenant House gets clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So, look closer at Covenant House and help us fight youth homelessness. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos.
I'm playing this on purpose, by the way.
For what reason?
One of our mutual friends said that they found out you share a love for Usher.
Oh, no, I really don't. Travis, Travis Hancock from WFNZ in Charlotte.
Yes.
So, this is sort of just like a little private aside, but we'll share. I was talking about something about being in his prime.
Oh, okay.
So I just commented on Twitter, like, you had a prime? Come on.
Aw.
So he says it was Usher inspired.
Okay.
I said, okay, I did too. I joked.
Will do that.
I joked and said mine was Neil Diamond inspired, which is not true, but I thought it was funny. So I go on with them on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back with Love on the Rocks by Neil Diamond, which is actually not in my my top 20 Neil Diamond songs, but I do like Neil Diamond. Diamond, back in the 70s and 80s, big pop star. Mm-hmm. Sort of the modern the Justin Timberlake of his time, maybe.
Look at that.
But anyway, I'm more Cracklin' Rosie, I Am I Said Neil Diamond than I am Love on the Rocks. But anyway, it was just funny.
Yeah.
So not really an Usher guy. That's just fun.
Yeah.
Well.
Behind the scenes, Elliot Johnson has to tell me a Cubby story. I'm hanging on now because we didn't have enough time before the interview.
Really?
Yeah, we were talking beforehand, and I told him about how I'm a big Cubs fan. He's got stories.
Well,
and now I'm.
He grew up a Cubs fan.
I didn't realize that. That's why he's.
This is a Chicago area kid.
I know. Now next time, just got to talk to him earlier.
Yes, we could dial him up. Dial him up 10 minutes ahead of time, so you guys can tell tales of the goat.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Before we get to a rewind, NFL Combine starts this week. So all the GMs are there, and Josh McDaniel is back as the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Stunner. The general manager of the Chiefs expects a fired-up Travis Kelce back in KC. I kind of think that the Chiefs should manage their cap better and move on, but I guess they don't want Travis Kelce playing anywhere else, and maybe they wouldn't save. I thought they were going to save like $17 million under the cap. Maybe they'll get those cap savings simply by restructuring Patrick Mahomes, or maybe they'll also restructure Travis Kelce. I have suggested that the Panthers, who have a lot of cap space, apparently, should extend Adam Thielen and lower his cap number. But again, how much money would you be saving by extending him and lowering the cap number? Probably not that much, and maybe it's not the smart thing to do down the road. Anyway, one more thing, because I've seen two stories about this, and it's worth pointing out. The Tennessee Titans have the first pick. And the Titans, on one hand, say that they believe Travis Hunter, the cornerback wide receiver from Colorado, the player that most people believe is the best player in the draft, they think he can play full-time both sides of the ball. Which, no, I don't think that's true. But set that aside for a second. The other story, also pertinent to the Tennessee Titans, is that they are actively shopping the first overall pick, which means that the first story is a ploy to get the second story more traction. So if I were the Tennessee Titans, I would simply draft Travis Hunter, and I would play him at cornerback, because it doesn't matter if you can play both positions. He clearly can play both positions. It doesn't even matter if he would be a better wide receiver than he would be a cornerback. The value of having a shutdown, game-changing player at cornerback far outweighs the value of having a great wide receiver. And I bring it up for this reason. The wide receiver position, every single year, we get the next greatest we've ever seen. Some of them are going to hit and become all pro level wide receivers, and some aren't, but there's every year. And you will find these guys in the second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round. Where did the Rams find
Puka Nacua?
Where did they find him?
I was going to say, sometimes you get a Puka Nacua.
Where did they find Cooper Kupp?
I know.
Right, who's 31, and they're going to move him on. They're going to trade him. But where did they find Cooper Kupp? Where did we find Adam Thielen? And again, these stories are not all over the place, but there is enough of them. We don't really get that with cornerbacks. The drop-off after the first 6, maybe 7 top cornerbacks in the league is noticeable. If you get one of those guys, he should play corner. Spot him at wide receiver. Give him 20 snaps a game at wide receiver, but play him at corner. Anyway, that's my thought on the Tennessee Titans, who are trying to drum up more interest for that pick. But if the Titans wanted to shop it, I would be interested. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go. It is a rewind. So we'll start with Four Nations Face-Off.
And side note, housekeeping, EJ, he is on YouTube and will be in the Best Of podcast. I know we had some issues with audio earlier.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for the YouTubers who are letting us know.
Thank you.
But yes, just so you know, it is on the podcast.
Okay, great.
So you can see the whole thing there or hear it.
And EJ was great.
Yes.
All right, and we started off by talking about the Four Nations Face-Off because I am still kind of maybe, I don't know, I was wrong. I thought it wouldn't be I didn't think the players would buy into it the way they did. And I asked EJ about it.
Well, I got to say, Adam, it wasn't that surprising to me. I've been a really long time advocate of the NHL pursuing these type of tournaments, like a World Cup of hockey. This is setting the stage for this calendar of international play now over the next several years, right? The Olympics next year, the World Cup of hockey in 2028, the Olympics in 2030, and as we go down the line. But the idea of the league having their own tournament, with the Players Association in February, because as you know, the Super Bowl ends, sports fans in the United States have a period of mourning because they're Sundays, right? And now it's Mondays and Thursdays, but
right.
People are focused on the NFL so much, and so when Super Bowl ends, there is a void in the sports calendar. The NBA and the NHL are playing games. Major League Baseball is going to training camp. But people are looking for something in that window to watch. And so I've always felt like if you're going to shut your league down for the Olympics, which you do not benefit from other than to get a bump, people paying attention to hockey, but you don't get a financial benefit.
Yep.
You don't always get the benefit of having the games on at the right time of day where people can watch them. And I just always felt like, why do a World Cup of hockey like they've done them in the past in September when nobody really cares in the U.S.? Let's be honest. We care, hockey fans, I care. We've had some great games in that window in my lifetime. But at the end of the day, you're trying to get eyeballs, get ratings, get people to watch. It's cold. I don't know if anybody understands. It's cold in February. It's hockey season, right? It was a winner for me in so many ways, and it was frustrating in talking to, people at the league for years. It's like, and I know the owners were, they're always hesitant, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do it for the Olympics, do it when you can control it. Here in North America, your buildings, your venues, you get the revenue. I say you go and sell it as a one-off to TV networks, and you can make more money there. You don't have to give it to the rights holders of the regular season and playoff games. So I thought it would be a really winner. And then the thing that happened, Adam, that made it all work was obviously the players bought in. That Saturday night in Montreal was crazy. But I knew the players would. They take great pride in playing for their country. It's part of hockey, right? It's part of, the hockey player, like the Europeans and the Americans, the Canadians, and they want to play for their country. This is a big part of the culture of the game. But then everything fell into place in terms of, ratings in the United States and Canada. We got 2 unbelievable U.S.-Canada games.
Yep.
We got a championship game with them. Let's face it, if it's Sweden-Finland last Thursday, I don't think we're talking about the same amount of eyeballs. So things fell into place, and it was great to see. I'm old enough to have remembered as a child the Summit Series and then the Canada Cup Series and the Rendezvous and then the World Cup of Hockey, and there's been so many great games, and it's great that a new generation of fans and a new generation of players get to see this, and it's great that we are now on the path where we're going to have these events every couple of years. And I'm really happy that the league and the Players Association are making that investment in February when I think it's the best opportunity to really sell the game, and so I'm really excited for that. So it went well, and I'm looking forward to how things play out over the next several years.
Shutting the game down for something that you also earn money at is amenable to NHL owners. Shutting the game down for the Olympics, which the NHL owners at best receive just indirect revenue from, is not of interest to the league. So every other year, if you will, in the 2 years in between Winter Olympics, if the National Hockey League can produce an event like that and get a lot of money for it and sell massive TV numbers for it, they win. It's a win. It is more games for your players. Some of your players, not all of them. Definitely encompasses that. But the players would also benefit from that as well. And it's clear, based on what we watched, that they are invested in it. And I said it last week. The biggest loser in all of that was the NBA, not because they did anything wrong, but because while there is an investment among the players, I think the investment is being an all-star. The investment isn't in performing your all-star abilities during an all-star game. The Chris Paul, Victor Wembanyama, who obviously has had deep vein thrombosis issues and will miss the rest of the season. The way they gamed the system at the All-Star skills competition, I mean, it was funny, but it also demonstrated, kind of not really investing. That's the way I looked at it. Anyway, the NHL, what an unbelievable win. And now it'll get bigger in the non-Olympic years, which is cool. Or the 2 years between Olympics. It'll get bigger. What you do on the other side of those, I think, is going to look a lot more all-star game-ish.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can do it every year.
Well, that's like the UFC cards. You have to have meh ones to have real good ones. That way you appreciate the good ones when it happens.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
I knew it.
Exactly what I was thinking. All right, the other big news today was that North Carolina, by the way, I didn't realize this, Hubert Davis, they announced a contract extension. He signed it back in December. The contract was agreed to in July. It keeps him as UNC's basketball coach until 2030. Interestingly enough, based on Brendan Marks from The Athletic, the buyout is only the remaining years left plus times the base salary, which is $1.25 million. Hubert makes a lot more than $1.25 million, but almost all of that is supplemental income. So the only part of that UNC is responsible for in the buyout is the base. So 6 years left at $1.25. Not a lot. Not a lot at all. If people are thinking about it in those terms, I wouldn't. All right. North Carolina's got a new general manager, and it is Jim Tanner. He's a UNC grad. He is a former NBA agent who built a big company representing athletes. Konata Edwards, not a scribe, not feeling it.
I'm at Adam, this doesn't make a lick of sense to me. This does not. And this is why I had to get on camera for this, because I want to make this incredibly clear for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
This, UNC has not learned their lesson. It's very clear between this and the Hubert extension that apparently was signed after they got their doors blown off after the Alabama game. They have not learned their lesson. Duke is clearly ahead in the horizon, very, very far. Mm-hmm. They figured it out. And you would think, okay, I can just copy the answer sheet of what Duke's doing, and okay, we'll be fine in a year or two. No, you're just going to continue to do your own thing. Keep it in the family, because keeping it in the family has gotten you one national championship appearance and one Final Four? That's it. For North Carolina, that's not enough. Keeping it in the family has gotten you 1-10 in Q1 this year. That's how good keeping it in the family has done. And I think the tradition that they're keeping to has become a shackle to what they can be going forward.
All right, a couple of other very quick things. We only have about 90 seconds left. I don't have a great problem because I'm not invested in the basketball culture. I watch the games, I see the players, I decide who I think is good and who I think is not. I mean, that's just opinions of the games and the players. But for what works, Duke is probably a very good example for where North Carolina could have gone, in that Duke sought out Rachel Baker, by the way, is the person who was hired, John Shire's first hire in 22, as general manager, and her roots were in grassroots basketball. That is the circle you need to cultivate. Those are the relationships you need to build, because now we're talking about player acquisition. We're not talking about player compensation. We're talking about player acquisition. The compensation follows that. And it almost looks like North Carolina's doing it backwards. My bigger issue was that for too many people, the fact that he's a UNC grad is the most important thing, and it should be the least important thing. It should only be an additive, nothing else. But again, I'm sure that Jim Tanner wasn't hired because he's a UNC grad. It's the way it's being shaped for a lot of people. Victoria, thank you very much. Canes tonight. See you tomorrow.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Tonight's forecast calls for Hurricanes hockey.
Svechnikov, tick-tack, tied, in Carolina on the man advantage.
Storm Watch with Adam